And we are live. What's up, guys? So today we have a special guest. This is Spencer Cornelia. If you haven't seen his channel, he is a very interesting guy. So basically, well, actually, I'll let you describe your channel.
It's really hard to describe in like one sentence, but the major theme is it started as going after fake gurus. So I've kind of been the pushback against fake gurus. I do like to spread out a little bit. I enjoy talking about athlete finances, why athletes go broke. I've talked about musicians and why they go broke. One thing a buddy said to me that kind of stuck was a lot of my videos are stuff that is public, but it is not obvious to the eye.
Yeah, like I have the show To Catch a Predator. I think like if I had to, call your channel anything, I was going to call this live stream To Catch a Fraud. I might actually go back to that title. But really, I feel like that's a big part of, what I've seen on your channel is like you're calling out these frauds. And you don't discriminate. You're not just sticking to the dating industry. I've seen you do finance and stuff like that, right? Like you go pretty broad.
I try to. Yeah, I really try to find interesting stories. I mean, let's be real, it's YouTube, so you're better off going the more interesting, more dramatic. Right. And so if an interesting story comes across my eyes, then that's what I go after, whether it's finance or dating. But I do try to make it broad just to show people that there's, and fraud's a strong word, but there's a lot of misleading. That's kind of the best word for the fake gurus is a lot of stuff is very misleading.
And there's definitely so many fake gurus out there. Like if I had to, like 90% of the pickup community. Like I don't know other communities. I know the pickup community and the fitness community. 90% of the fitness community, maybe 95%, and 90% of the pickup community is largely either people who heavily exaggerate or just straight up lying.
Do you know the three? Yeah, the three most profitable niches online are weight loss, getting laid, and making money. So of course that's where your three biggest niches for fake gurus, right? Because the pot of gold at the end is the biggest.
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with the making money community, but I'm assuming it's probably just like that. It's like probably even worse, to be honest.
It's bad, man. Well, what's unfortunate is what gets the most attention, right? It's going to be flashy.
Yeah.
It's going to be, look, fake claims. Hey, I get laid every night with the hottest girls. I run a business. I run multiple 7-figure businesses. These are all claims that, how do you prove it, right? If they're not transparent, no one's out to, there's no committee that just goes, okay, well, you're going to make this advertisement. Well, can we see your bank statements? Can we see your tax returns? Can you prove it? Because in other industries, if I came up with a food product, or here, how about this pen right here? If I created this pen and I needed to market it, and I said, just with this pen alone, you can cure cancer, just to make the claims crazy. I would have to prove that in order to market this on television. But on the YouTube, there's no committee that forces this.
Yeah, there's nothing. Like if you're, like with the medical, like let's say you're a scientist, right? And you have a scientific theory, you have peer-reviewed journals. So if you want to be any kind of respected scientist, you have to submit your, findings to a peer-reviewed thing, and then, other peers review it. There's nothing like that at all with the picture. I can literally say I spend the whole day having an epic orgy with 1 million girls, or I make $1 billion. Like no one, you really don't know. There's nothing, I don't have to prove it. And it really just comes down to how much you trust me. I think the problem is that a lot of, let's call them whatever, fakers, they realize that and they're like, okay, well, I can get away with crazier and crazier and more outrageous, claims. Like, okay, well, I got 5 sales when I said I had sex with a 7. Why don't I say I had sex with a 10 and that got me 7 sales? Oh, I had a threesome with 2 10s. Okay, that gets me even more.
And one was a midget. It's like
one was a midget,
sales.
which was
like it's crazy attention.
Perfect 10 midget. Yeah, so that's insane. How did you get started with all this?
It was in the fall of 2019. I was flipping houses in Cincinnati, and I came across some content online. I was familiar with a very popular TV show called Flip or Flop. And a lot of this content is about flipping houses, and I noticed just how much they didn't share. So I had this idea on YouTube of starting to share, like, hey, this popular content over here does not share the truth. That was where my mindset was at. And it just so happened at that time, I came across a channel called CoffeeZilla, who had a little channel, or he had a smaller channel then, but he had a series on Friday called Fake Guru Friday. And it was that moment where, where you get approval in life. I had the sense of like, a lot of these guys don't feel real. And when I saw that, it gave me the approval, like, you know what, maybe they aren't real. Let me do a deep dive. And so it all started with, let me just do a very objective look at these gurus. At the time, I had very few subscribers, wasn't getting any views or anything. So there was no agenda. It was just simply, a lot of these guys are making claims. Let me just see if it's real. That's all.
Yeah, that's how there's clearly a big demand for what you're doing, because you have, what, like 150,000 subscribers?
I'm up to 185,000 now. It's growing, man.
Clearly, and I think this is an important service because you need someone to call these people out. Like I don't really do it quite often on my channel. I do like a little bit, but it is important because I think the problem is that a lot of guys who follow the pickup community or whatever, the fitness community, they don't have that kind of intuition to be able to tell when someone's a fraud. And I think a lot of these fake gurus, they have like a cult type of thing. It's like, when you're a Scientologist, you fully believe in Scientology. It's only after you get out that you realize that it was all bullshit. And I think it's just like that. Like these guys, they're in a cult basically, and they're like, okay, the cult of this guy, the cult of that guy, and they're not evaluating this stuff honestly. They're just like, oh, this sounds pretty good.
There's a lot of psychological triggers that allow them to get away with it and make it easier for them. We're hardwired social proof. Right? You see 1 million followers on Instagram, you immediately think they're credible because of that. You see the flashy cars, you see the big house. So all of these things, and even if they're rented, you don't know, right? You don't know if they own it. So they can rent it for the day, and it triggers within you these hardcore, like deep within us, it's like, man, must be successful. Everything he says is valid. And so it's easy to follow these gurus. And there really isn't anyone pushing back. It's the Wild West right now. You can make all the claims in the world. Yeah. There's easy ways to get away with, and I don't like using the word fraud because that's a criminal accusation, but a lot of it is kind of like the gray area fraud where a lot of these guys will have a little success. So maybe they sell 1 or 2 houses, they flip 1 or 2 houses, but then they start selling a course on how you can run a 7-figure business. And it's like, wait a second, you never did it. You had a little success, so it's not a complete fraud.
Right.
You're making claims that aren't true.
Yeah, you banged a few chicks in college, but like now you're like kind of pro. Yeah, I mean that's definitely an issue. So what's your process for evaluating? Like, let's say you hear about a new guy, you know nothing about them. You're trying to figure out whether they're legit or not. What's your process?
I've stopped doing deep dives into people because I used to do that, and I don't enjoy that as much anymore because you're really looking into someone's life, looking for something to expose. And so now I kind of enjoy bringing certain things to light. I enjoy looking at videos that make crazy claims, and I basically bring it back to earth. I enjoy looking at advertising. I enjoy looking at certain types of marketing. I enjoy looking at pyramid schemes and just sharing, here's the reality. Because I do have experience in a few different areas, and then I just kind of, I don't know, bring light to certain claims. When people make it seem like everyone's making money in crypto, I'm just like, wait a second, here's all these articles saying it's not, not as many people are making as much money, or here's, a crazy 70% drop.
Right. All right, so let's get specific with it. So the dating community, which is what I'm in, who are the biggest? We don't want to use the word fraud, so let's call them fake gurus in the dating space.
There's that one guy that CoffeeZilla went after. He has over 1 million, and he started selling an online freedom course. I can't remember his name. He has oh man, I wish I had a name for you. But he has like 1 or 2 million, and he was selling a freedom mastery course or something.
Try to describe him. I'll probably know when you give me like a little.
I think he's a European guy, but he lives in California. The CoffeeZilla video is really good. To be honest, I don't know much about the dating.
Let me pull it up. I got my phone.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. If you look at CoffeeZilla and dating coach that calls women prey is the video.
CoffeeZilla.
Calls women prey.
Calls women prey. I'm curious.
The J-Mo video, or J-Mo, the John Anthony video of Justin Wayne was really interesting, where he got caught in 4K, basically hiring that woman. Yeah,
that was pretty insane. I'm not a big fan.
The Fresh Fit guys are blowing up now. I made a video on the Fresh Fit CEO guy who hired women to do these like really cheesy like Lamborghini pranks, gold digger pranks, which to anyone who's ever had any cold approach experience knows they could sense that the girls are paid right away. His name's Adrian. That's what it is. Adrian G.
Oh, okay. I don't know much about him, to be honest.
Yeah, that was the first thing that came to mind. I think he did some cold approach stuff on his channel.
He has 1 million subs. That's fucking nuts.
I think so. Yeah, it seems like the pandemic kind of wiped a lot of these guys out, because I know the dating community on YouTube shifted a lot. There used to be a lot of cold approach pickup videos, and it's kind of changed a lot now.
Honestly, the pandemic was really good for my business. Like my channel took off when the pandemic began. Yeah, I was at like 5,000 or 6,000 subs or something like that before the pandemic.
See 10x.
Yeah, it was definitely good to me, because I think a lot of people were stuck. I think a lot of it is just luck, because I do mainly online dating. A lot of people were stuck inside, and a lot more people were turning to online. I think a lot of people also didn't have anything to do, so they were just watching YouTube all day.
Of course, help me out too. Here's one of my first questions for you. One of my critiques of the dating community that I don't care for is the 10 scale. Now I know why it's used, because it is good to show, hey, I've got a student that was dating 6s and are now dating 8s, whatever. You can see objective proof that they've improved. But the 10 scale is always laughable to me, because I don't know if you know this. I used to be in the pickup community. Like I was big into RSD. I did cold approach for like 2 or 3 years, like hardcore, 6 nights a week. So I was deep into that community for a while.
I think I know exactly what you're going to say, that like what some people call an 8 is actually a 5. And it's like people exaggerate to like such a crazy degree.
Yeah. My critique though is simply, a lot of guys in the pickup community, and this was definitely years ago, but I feel it's still there. A lot of guys want to claim they've been with 8s, 9s, and 10s. To me, a 10 is you're not even able to communicate. This is the Taylor Swifts, the Beyoncés. Like I'm talking social status to the moon. You're not even able to communicate with them. Like 9s are celebrities, 8s are like social media celebrities, but not like much fame. I think you know what I mean? So like me, I'm like a 4 out of 10 to me on my scale, 4 or 5 out of 10.
So I think you might be defining. So the way most guys do it, it's purely based on looks. So for example, just because a girl is a celebrity, that wouldn't give her any additional points at all in the way most people define it. So it's just like a 10 is just someone who's physically perfect, but she could be like a massive piece of shit. Or she could be broke. It makes no difference.
But my point is like the reason you use the 10 scale is to kind of validate your success, right? And I think we could both agree that an 8 at the gym, like a very attractive girl at the gym, is a different date. Let's just say you went on a date with her. It's a much different accomplishment to go on a date with a girl from the gym who's cute versus one who has 1 million followers on Instagram and is starring in a Netflix TV show. They look the same, right? That's kind of where I'm coming at.
Yeah. The second one will be hard to get. So, I mean, so it's funny because me and I don't know if you've seen the videos I've done, but like she's my girl, whatever, Natty. Me and her were literally discussing this last night, and we got into like a not heated debate, but we were like, it was a very like enthusiastic debate because she's not a fan of the scale at all. Her argument is that she thinks it's demeaning to women. I don't, but we were really like going hard on the scale. And so I think there's several problems with it. One of the problems is that it's highly subjective. So what I've like the running joke we have in my company is when we're answering people's questions, whatever number the guy says, it's 2 points less. So when the guy's like, yeah, I hooked up with this hot 8. Okay, so he hooked up with a 6. Oh, I hooked up with a 6. Ooh, so she was a 4. Like that's literally the running joke. Because usually when I asked, when in the past I'd be like, oh, show me a picture. The girl was never like a guy would say 7. She was actually a 5. The second problem is that it's subjective. I like big booty Latinas. I like the porn star look. A lot of guys don't like that. Some guys like the tall, skinny Viking look. That doesn't do anything for me sexually. So it's highly subjective. I think that the scale comes in useful as a form of slang. Basically, all it accomplishes is shorthand. So if me and you are trying to like, get through a conversation and you're like, yeah, man, I hooked up. Because how would you describe a girl physically? I'm like, you're like, I banged a chick last night. I'm like, oh, what'd she look like? You're like, well, she had a face and she had big tits. Right. But that still doesn't put an image in my head. But if you're like, yeah, she was like a solid 8, that like automatically. So I think it's useful as a form of slang, but that's about it.
Which is funny because then you have a lot of fallacies there as well, because your 8 could be a brunette Latina with certain physical characteristics, whereas my 8 might be Filipina, incredibly intelligent, and a business owner. You know what I mean? So like we're still miscommunicating.
Yeah.
Even when you add in the scale, it was more of it's not so much critique of the scale. It's just a critique of the industry at large. Yeah. When we're talking about fake gurus, I just remember when I used to be in the community, like people would post blogs, right? And they'd be like, I got an 8's number last night, and then I've been banging only 9s lately. And then you meet up with them in person, and it's like they're nervous to cold approach, and you're kind of like, in my eyes, a 9 is if you get with a 9, she's social media 1 million plus on Instagram. She is a girl that turns heads in a bar. She is physically as attractive. Like you would immediately text your friends like, dude, this girl's beautiful. Here's a picture. That attractive. You know what I mean?
To me, I was actually trying to explain this to Natty last night. So a girl could be awesome or could be the biggest piece of shit. It does. So when I use the scale, and there's no correct way of doing it, it's just different, different slang, whatever. But the way I do it is it's purely based on physicality. So the number of followers she has on Instagram, her intelligence, anything about her is completely irrelevant to the scale. So I would say, I could say something like, yeah, that chick was an 8, but she was a massive bitch and I hated her. Or that chick was a 6, but she was actually super cool and she was awesome. I had a good time with her, right? So there's no correlation between her personality. But you could do like a physical scale and a personality scale. You could do two different things. Like
for me, it was always the difficulty, because I view it as a game. Like if you I hate, like, I don't want to objectify women, because I do think that part of the scale is that. But I do see it as a game. It's like if you're getting 5 out of 10s and then you improve in life and now you're getting your version of a 6 out of 10, like that's an objective measure.
Yeah, I mean, like,
right? And that could be a lot of things. It could be she's successful, or she's intelligent, she's great personality, whatever.
Yeah, well, for example, you have, like, to kind of bring it to what you were saying, like the Donovan Sharp, right? He calls his wife. Okay, look, if Donovan Sharp is like, yeah, she's not the most attractive girl, but I like her, and it is what it is. No problem there, right? Like, okay, whatever, he's into that. I could care less what people are into. The issue that me and other dating coaches get annoyed is when he's like, yeah, my wife, her face is like a 7, her body's like a 9. And it's a fat chick. I'm like, no, she's not. Like, it's not like we're fucking splitting hairs here. And she's maybe 8 or 9. It's like she's really a 3, but he's calling her a 9. Like that's so it becomes laughable. And again, going back to what we were talking about earlier, there's no committee. It's not like you bang a chick and you send it to like 20 dudes and they evaluate like, oh, the guys are saying she's only 7.5. It's purely like you can say whatever the fuck you want. So guys go crazy high. Me personally,
I'd be curious your opinion on this. I find it to be the reason why I generally stay away from the number 2, because I find it to be mostly ego driven. And that's like, I could care less what you think of the girls I'm sleeping with. Like if I like them, they treat me well, they're fun to be around, I could care less what out of 10 you think she is. But I just in that community, it's just my experience within the pickup community, it was always an ego thing. Like
I've always been I could care less what other guys think. I have my type, and my type, like people who watch my channel know, I like porn star looking girls. Like I like chicks with big tits, a big ass, that's what I like. And I don't.
Do you like plastic surgery? Like, could you?
I don't mind
you
it.
date you don't mind?
Oh yeah, pretty much every chick I bang has like fake tits, with the exception of Natty. But like all the
that's
girls,
interesting, because I'm very much turned off by it. I could not date a girl who has plastic surgery.
To me, I mean, well, first of all, I live in Miami, so like, if you're not going to date girls who have plastic surgery, you're cutting out like 90% of the dating pool right there.
You think it's that frequent?
I'm exaggerating, but it's
prominent. Frequent. I'm in Las Vegas, which is it's prominent here as well.
It should be pretty frequent. But yeah, I mean, I think that's a valid critique, and I think that guys, use this number scale like it's just yeah, she was an 8. Reality, she's like a 4 objectively.
Yeah. So a lot of things on my channel, actually, if you look at like the underlying theme, a lot of it is dealing with mental health, because I do think what a lot of these fake gurus do is they present a lot of mental health issues. So Alex, let's say you're a 23-year-old kid, you want to improve in life, you want to get better at dating. If my whole image is, dude, if you're in your 20s not banging a chick every night like I was, you're just a piece of shit. And look, I had threesomes all my life. My whole 20s was, basically making all these fake claims. It makes you feel like you aren't accomplishing something. But if you found out that all of my claims were lies, that makes it even worse. It's like the comparison effect is real on social media, where you're in your spot, you're looking on Instagram and you want to follow someone, and they're making all these claims and that they're just false. So it makes you feel bad that you aren't where they are. And then it's even worse that they aren't even where they are. It was all fake.
So, I mean, just goes back to like basic marketing psychology, but it's way easier to sell something based on lack. So you lack this in your life, and my product will fix that lack that you have. That's a much easier sales pitch than, hey, this might actually improve your life a bit. We don't know, but you can try it. Yeah,
I'm with you as long as you're legitimate.
No, I'm not saying I support that. I'm just explaining like why they do that.
100%.
I don't like that at all. I don't believe in that kind of shit. Like if you look at like my marketing, I did get a copywriter. Like I didn't like write this myself. Like, but I did have very strict requirements for my copywriter, and like I didn't want to do any of like the gimmicky shit. Like I didn't want to do like you only have 5 days to buy, and then this product course is forever, or like if you don't buy this, then you're going to be alone forever. Like I was like, I don't want to have anything to do with that nonsense. I don't want to have any of these upsells. Like you buy my product, then you have to buy something else. Downsells. It
can bring in the wrong people too. That's the downside.
Yeah, I mean for sure.
If you hard sell, you're going to attract the wrong people.
Yeah, I mean, I personally, like, to me, money, like, I like money, but I'm not a communist, but it was never.
Do you share income numbers, by the way, at all? Are you comfortable sharing income numbers?
I can share it, yeah. I mean, I've never done it, but I don't mind doing it. Playing with Fire makes about $30,000 a month as a business, and I don't get to keep all that money. I get about 50% of that, because there's a lot.
What are the income streams? You have a course, and then do you do coaching as well?
So I don't barely. I honestly do the coaching mainly as a way for me to stay sharp and stay up to date with people's problems. But coaching is like 0.1% of my income. Most of
I
our
was curious about how you came to your price point of your product, because it's a
yeah.
little challenging with like dating, because with money it's easy. If I can show you how to make 100 grand a year in real estate, you can easily look at the dollar figure of the course and kind of justify the price. But with dating, it's like how much do
It's
people
highly
value?
subjective. It's highly
Yeah.
subjective. But so to kind of answer your first question, so primarily we make money through product sales, and secondary is the mastermind access. That's where 90% of our money comes from. Other 8-9% is either from cross promotion. I only cross promote with a few people, like John Anthony is one of them, and Sterling Cooper is the other one, and YouTube ads. So we actually make a decent amount from YouTube now, like 3,000 a month, which we never made.
Wow, I would have thought you'd be demonetized given kind of what you talk about.
Some of our videos do, and I actually really keep the monetization on our videos always to a minimum, so I can monetize our content way more. But I always like, because when you go to YouTube to monetize, you have like, do you want it to be shown before, during, after the video? I always keep it like the end of the video, minimum amount. Like I don't want to over monetize. Like I want people to watch my videos and get through the whole thing, and maybe see a little bit of an advertisement on the side. I don't want them bombarded with ads. So
You could actually argue that might be a better strategy, because your reach, if your average watch time is greater, your reach might be greater. And given that your reach is greater, it might lead to more back end sales.
Possibly. I mean, our average watch time is actually really good compared to our number of subscribers. So our channel, like the analytics on it are really good. I think a big part of that is because I try to put out like value videos. I don't really try to put out like stupid fluff like type of shit.
Yeah.
I think
I appreciate
you
sharing that. I'm always interested in how much people like make.
Yeah,
I'm very transparent about income numbers. So I was doing a monthly income report. I'll bring that back later this year. But I find it like transparency to be really beneficial for a brand, unless it affects you.
If you're not being transparent, that means you have something to hide. Like, I got like nothing to hide. Just out of curiosity, how do you guys primarily make money? Is it just from YouTube ads, or?
It's just me. So I'm a lone wolf. I made 24,000 in June off AdSense alone.
Damn, just from YouTube ads?
Yep, just from YouTube ads. That was a monster month. My previous high was almost 11,000, and I only done that twice. So last month was an outlier. This month actually might be about the same, which is crazy. And then I have a real estate. So I live in a 7-bed, 5-bath house in Las Vegas where I rent the 6 rooms. I just added a new tenant, upgraded the rent. And so I'll be grossing 4,000 a month starting August 1st on the house I live in, and I live for free.
I think that's a whole interesting topic we can cover. But I'm fascinated by this, that you make over 10,000 on YouTube ads. You have, actually, I guess it kind of adds up. You have 3 times as many subs as me, so you make like 3 times as much.
It's all in the views. I had everything get pushed. Yeah, I had right at 3 million views for the month of June, which was 2 to 3x what I normally get.
Okay, so we get about 800,000 views a month. So
okay, yeah, that's about right.
Yeah. Okay. So then that kind of adds up now that we break it down.
And then I'm under contract for my next house hack. So the term is called house hacking, where you buy a house and then rent by the rooms. It's a strategy within real estate. And so I'll be grossing about 3,500, maybe 3,400 for my next house. So I'll be right at 8,000 a month just from, this is gross, not net, but gross from rental income starting August 1st.
Yeah, honestly, a lot of the money that Playing with Fire makes, I reinvest in the business. Like we're like, there's a lot of projects we're doing that I haven't been super public with, not because I'm hiding it, but just because like I want to first deliver before I announce it. But one of the things we're building right now is an app. It's going to be an artificial intelligence. So basically, you as a guy are just going to be able to upload like a bunch of pictures, and instead of having a bunch of other dudes tell you which pictures are good, the AI, which we're having 6 girls train the AI, is going to be able to tell you which of your pictures is the best, which is the second best. It's going to be instantaneous. So that's like a big project.
That's fascinating and crazy valuable. I actually, I don't know if you know him, guy squatting Casanova, Mike.
Yeah, I know.
I hung out with him a couple months back out here in Vegas, and he does pictures. He's a photographer and does pictures for his clients. And I've seen some of his stuff on Instagram. I thought that was super valuable too. I don't know if you offer that service, but just seeing some of the pictures he shows of his clients, like what they were before and then with his photography, I thought that was super valuable so that might be an add-on that you could add if you maybe have a photographer that you can link up with.
Dude, to be honest, so me and my marketing guy always discuss this, but I have like a pretty unique vision for Playing with Fire. So like I have, my marketing guy who I love and trust to death. He's like, dude, like you can easily double or triple your income if you have like a top tier option. So instead of, because right now the membership costs $39 a month, but there's some people who'd be willing to pay $500 or $1,000 a month for more access to you. Or
For
like
sure.
we can do another product, and like there's like all these ways I could pretty close to instantly double or triple my money. And I'm like, no, I want to do the opposite of that. Like I want to focus all my energy on making videos and growing the brand and creative stuff. I don't really like, even the fact that like we have a mastermind now, and I'm committed to keeping up with it and making sure that anyone who participates in it gets a good experience. But I don't want to have 3 different tiers of that where I have to even spend more energy on mastermind. That's why I'm not really doing that much one-on-one coaching. Like I procrastinate and turn down a lot because just I can make more money, but it's not really where I will spend my energy. Like where I'm trying to go with Playing with Fire is once we hit 100,000 subscribers, I want to build a studio. I'm going to invest 20, 30, 40,000 in a studio, right? I want to start doing dope podcasts, get porn stars on, like start doing like Howard Stern type of shit. I want to make more content. I want to do cooler shit. I want to also, build that app. We're trying to build a dating app that's going to be down the line. I have like a pretty unique vision for what would make a good dating app. So I want to do more like projects like that.
Interesting. I do have a question for you. Is your income now is much higher than in your 20s? Is that correct?
Oh, 100%, dude. I was broke for half my life. I went to a good university. So I went to Boston University, graduated with a marketing degree. And then I did like nothing for like 3-4 years. I mean, I tried various like little sales jobs. I didn't start making money until I was 25, which is when I got a job as a legit salesperson for a big solar company between 20. And then I went from having like close to no income to having like pretty good, like upper middle class income. I was making maybe like $7,000-8,000 a month, which was good for me at the time. And so I did that. Then the company I worked for went bankrupt. And then I went back down to no income, but then I started Playing with Fire. And then Playing with Fire wasn't making this money initially. Like we didn't make any money for like the first year. And then for the second year, we made like pretty low money. Like it was not even really enough to live off, especially when you have to split amongst different people and, pay for shit. So it wasn't until like a year ago that Playing with Fire, started, actually taking off and like allowing me to like, being able to like get by financially.
Yeah, my follow-up question to that is I'm curious how you're dating, like how you view dating and how your experience with dating is as you're making more money versus before when you weren't making as much money.
Honestly,
If that's changed.
Like, I never was one to flex my money. Like if you look at me without actually having this conversation, you would never have an idea that I have money. I have a very average car. I wear literally the same outfits every day. I wear a black shirt and fucking like sweatpants. Like that's my outfit. I wear the same type of outfit. I don't have a watch. I don't flex at all. Like, so I've never been a fan of like the whole flexing culture. Like, yeah, like show off my car, show off my watch. I never liked that shit. I always thought it was lame. So no girl, unless she actually gets to know me and knows the inside of my business, ever knows I have money. And
interesting. So you feel like your dating life has been pretty consistent, even as kind of income and social success has increased?
I think I like hit my peak like 3 years ago, because when I think like the best way to explain it is like from the age of 21 to the age of 28, I was actively working on my game, right? So my game was getting better, and also as my SMB was getting better because I started going to the gym. Like if you look at me 5 years ago, I was a skinny weakling. I was 140 pounds. So my SMB was getting better and my game was getting better. At 27, 28, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to keep it where it is. Like I still, work out, still focus on my SMB, but I don't game enough to increase my game. But I game enough so that it doesn't go downhill. So maybe I'll go out and do cold approach once or twice a week, which is really not enough for you to see growth, especially when you've kind of maxed it out already. Like if I was to right now start going out 4 or 5 days a week, I could increase my skills even further. But I'm already happy with my dating and sex life, so I don't really feel like where I want to improve is business, right? So that's where I dedicate most of my energy on.
Yeah, I'm curious because I'm kind of a similar experience. In my 20s, when I was doing cold approach pickup, like I loved going out. Well, actually, I didn't love the process of going out. I was going out 6 nights a week. I was working for the Houston Rockets, the professional basketball team. And so I'd go out till like 3 a.m. and then sleep 4 hours, wake up, go work, go sleep in my car at my lunch break, and then, work the afternoon, sleep, hit the gym, watch like an RSD video, and then go out. But what I noticed about a lot of guys is they would get on like a turnstile. And so you could, in my experience, I found guys to get to a certain level, like, okay, you're competent talking, carrying the middle level conversation, you're competent getting her number, or maybe pooling once a month. But I found most guys to get stuck because I didn't feel like they were becoming attractive as men. And so the reason why I exited the game and cold approach specifically is because I felt like in order for me, and this is just my subjective experience, in order for me to attract the women that I like really wanted to be with, I needed to improve business, lifestyle, income, have some type of set income, stable income. And so that's why I'm curious about your experience, because
Oh yeah.
I for sure view women differently, meaning they don't have as much power on me as they used to. When I was 23 at the gym and I saw a hot girl, it's like, oh my God, you get those jitters. Now it's like, okay, she's just a cute girl. Like, yeah, if I wanted to go talk to her, I would. I don't have like approach anxiety like I used to. And a lot of that is because I have more success.
My kind of perspective on that is money helps indirectly. So for example, when you start making money, you have more freedom. Money equals freedom, right? You're not set to a 9 to 5. So just by having more freedom, you're going to be more successful with women, right? That's like kind of indirect way. Money gives you freedom, and money, because if you're making money in business, like you feel more confident, and that confidence is going to carry over to other areas of your life. It's hard to feel confident when you're like struggling to pay your rent, right? I met some people who can completely separate those two, and they can be giant losers when it comes to finances, but massive pips when it comes to game. I have seen that, but it's not most guys. Most guys, there's some like for me personally, there's interlap. And if let's say the business crashes, I'm not going to be as confident with women. I'm just going to be like in the back of my mind. Yeah. So I think it's that. But unless you're going for sugar babies and you're actively flexing your money, I don't think it helps. Unless you get into like the upper echelon, unless you're like a multi-millionaire, like unless we're talking crazy money where it's like you can't even hide it anymore, then. But also the problem is if you're using money to get girls, the kind of girls you're going to get. I've always been very weary of like gold diggers. Like I want a girl who's like, into me, not like into my money.
What I was most curious on is the lifestyle game, not the flex on Instagram game, but lifestyle meaning I have noticed I was a 9 to 5 guy until the pandemic. So I totally agree with you. Like having your own schedule, be your own boss is like way different with women. You're way more confident. But I'd love to live in a super nice house, have really nice things, have the ability to take a girl on a nice date. Not because I'm trying to simp, but simply because I only eat at the best restaurants. And so if you want to eat with me, we are going to eat at a 5-star restaurant. Like I'm just more curious about the experience and what the experience with women will be. Do you attract more women? Do you attract higher class women when you have money and different lifestyles? I'm curious.
Yeah. So for me personally, like even if I was a multi-billionaire, billionaire, whatever, I would still take the girls to the local dive bar down the street. So I have the same date spot. Doesn't matter. Like I like, for example, Maddie, right? Like I have no problem. Like I got her a nice gift for her birthday, but actually, I think I got her something. But anyway, like I have no problem spending money on my friends and people I'm close to. But on a first date, when I'm getting to know a girl, I will buy her 1 or 2 drinks. That's it. Like I don't want any possibility of like any kind of gold digging type behavior. I think the second reason that I do that is also, I think the problem that a lot of guys run into who have money is when they use their money to attract the girl puts them in the provider category. And so she's going to withhold sex for several dates versus if she sees the guy as like a fuckboy lover, then she's going to fuck him. And then maybe later on she discovers he has money and that's like a cool extra bonus, but you're still going to get the sex faster. So
I am curious though, if you can combine the two where a girl knows your high status, but knows you have options. Cause I think that would be, my comeback to you.
Yeah, it is possible. I know a few guys who do it, but it's hard. It requires a certain type of, it's easier said than done, to put it that way.
Understood. Every guy with money I know is all married. So I don't have someone to live vicariously through, to have like a test rat. Like, what's it like? You just made a bunch of money in crypto. Are you getting laid more? Are you confident?
Honestly, a lot of guys I've seen who have a lot of money, I see them doing forms of paying for it. Like they don't actually buy prostitutes, but they like have sugar babies and stuff like that. And they're paying for it indirectly, which has always been like a big turnoff for me. Like, like if you think about it logically, the argument they make is like, well, dude, like it costs me, like, let's say I spend $4,000 on, a sugar baby. I make $1,000 an hour. So it's easier for me than to go on a bunch of dates and shit to just pay the sugar baby, which is like a fair economic argument. But the counter argument I would give is like, for me personally, that would never do anything for me. Like if I knew that the girl was primarily into me for the money, that would be like, just like my dick would go fucking limp. Like that would be just
I'm with you. Yeah, I'd rather not get laid than pay directly.
Yeah.
Because we're all paying indirectly, right? When you go to the dive bar, it's your time. Your time could be spent doing
Yeah,
something else.
yeah, exactly. That's the only form of payment is my time, and I'm pretty also. This is one big aspect that my game has changed in the last 6 years. I used to treat my time like it was like okay, like if a chick lived an hour away from me, I would take the bus because I didn't have a car back then. Go to a bar near her place. Maybe I would get late, maybe I didn't, but I didn't see it as a loss because I didn't treat my time as a valuable commodity. Now, the only 2 dates I will do is either my place or a bar near my place. I will not meet halfway. I will not meet near her place. Most times I won't even go to her place. I just don't have time. So I see right now my time is much more important to me than it used to be.
Well, that's actually exactly to my point about earlier asking about has your dating life changed? It actually has. There's a perfect example. So as you become more successful, I think you're more comfortable setting boundaries. Whereas when you're 25, like guys here on the RSD videos, or that was back in the day, but like, videos of yours, you might hear about setting boundaries. But like when you don't have anything going on, it's like, yeah, I'll do whatever. A girl wants to go on a date with me, I'll ride the bus for an hour. But as you become successful, and I've noticed this with myself, now that my videos are doing well, I made 24 grand last month on AdSense. I have legitimate time sinks. I could make money if I use my time towards videos. And so if I'm going to go on a date, it better be with a girl I'm really into, or else it doesn't happen.
Yeah, I'll stream pretty aggressively. Like one thing, what common criticism guys have of online game is like, what if the girl doesn't go look like her pictures? You're stuck with her for 2 hours. I'm like, dude, if a chick doesn't look like her pictures, I will give her a hug right away and say, hey, I'm sorry, I'm not into it. I won't be rude, but I'm not going to spend more than 1 minute with her. Like,
Wow.
To me, it's crazy how guys will spend 2 hours with a chick who doesn't look like her pictures and they're not attracted to. Like, I don't think you should ever be rude to a woman, but like, I'm not going to waste my time with a girl who catfished me. Like, zero chance of that. So I think there are ways to make online dating very efficient, which I discovered, I think, later on. Like, I think initially it was all about just maximum output. Does this strategy get me more pussy or less? Now it's about how efficient is the strategy. Does it increase my efficiency?
So you have like, you're going to get laid. Now is this one going to take me 3 hours or 8 hours? Is that kind of what I'm hearing?
Well, even 3 or 8 hours would be too long for me. But I don't have I don't know. There's a switch that flipped in my head a few years ago. Where I don't have that like kind of. I used to have like this scarcity where it's like pussy. It was like a drug. I need it more and more. Oh shit. Fuck. If it goes away, what if it? Oh fuck. This girl flaked on me. Fuck. It used to like at some point it was just like a switch flipped where like it became like food. Like if you're like in a third world country and you're starving, food is a big deal. But where we live in America, we don't sweat about food. Like we know, like, if you're like, you don't have food in your fridge, you're not going to have a panic attack. You could go and get food, right? It's not you don't think about like that. So I think that initially a lot of guys, they treat, pussy like they do, food in third world countries where it's like a scarce resource and like, oh God, what if I don't get it? Like, oh fuck, there's no food in the fridge. What am I going to do? But I think as you get better, you should move into like treating food as like they do in America, where it's like, okay, who gives a shit? You can get food. Food is awesome. I love food, but like, I don't sweat if there's no food in my fridge. I know I can get it. If my favorite restaurant is closed for the day, it's not like a big deal. I could go to another place.
There's other options.
Yeah. Which I think is like a switch and I don't know exactly how it flipped, but I do think it happened about like 2 or 3 years ago. It was just kind of, I don't know.
Interesting. Are you only in non-monogamous relationships, or do you do monogamous?
I've been in a few, at least my version of monogamous relationship, which is probably not the same as the girl's version of monogamous, but I have tried a few. I've come to the realization though that it's not going to work for me. So I just can't do monogamy, at least not at this point in my life. So when I was younger, like 26, 27, I would be more inclined to just go with it and maybe lead the girl on a little bit. But like now I'm at a point where like I just know it's not going to work. I've tried it too many times. So now it's just only going to be open.
That's interesting. I think in society in America, we try to put people into a box too much. And I do wish that when growing up, it would rely on the parents, but taught that you don't have to get in a monogamous relationship. You don't have to date women. Like, it's very weird, isn't it? How we're taught as men. Like, I used to have this weird feeling in my 20s that we're an asshole if you just wanted sex.
Yeah, it's really, it is bizarre. And I think as a guy, you got to scrap that from your mind. So
Absolutely.
I believe, there's like in society, there's this looking down on people who want casual sex. Like, oh, you just want have a hookup.
Like you're a bad guy.
Yeah, like I want a relationship, like as if that makes you better. But I don't see it, and I think some of the pickup channels, they go too far in the other direction. They see monogamy as like a bad thing. But I always look at them as, it's like, what's better, French fries or pizza, right? Like, just depends on what you like. So
Yeah.
I never saw as one is better than the other.
I do think if in your 40s, if you've done all the single shit you want to do in life, you've been with all the types of women, if you find an awesome woman and you want to have kids, I see nothing wrong with monogamy. I just think most guys should not be getting in monogamous relationships in their
There's
20s.
absolutely zero wrong with it. It really comes down to what you like. For example, one of my my app developer, one of my really close friends from childhood, he's always been a monogamous relationship type of guy, and he can actually get girls, so he has game. He doesn't do it, and he's like a cool guy. He doesn't do it because that's all he can get, which is the reason most people get into relationships. He actually prefers to be in a monogamous relationship with a girl. Some people are just wired like that. And so if you're not doing scarcity, if you're doing it because that's truly what you want, then there's nothing wrong with it at all. It just really comes down to who you are and what you want.
Yeah, interesting. So back to fake gurus, I am curious because I actually don't really know the dating industry as much. That's just which is why I didn't have a great answer for you when you asked. But I'm curious, what would you consider a fake guru? Like if I was a guru selling a dating product and we met up in Miami and we went out and did cold approach, how would you critique someone that's either, how would they pass your test?
Well, so for me, I'm pretty good at reading people, so I can usually tell by someone's videos. Like I don't even need to meet them. I can tell by their videos if their walk matches the talk. So I can just by the way they carry themselves. So for example, let's take someone like AMS, Alpha Male Strategy. So he's actually a pretty confident guy. So I can believe that he gets laid. The problem is that he has a lot of incorrect strategies. It's funny because his thing is Alpha Male Strategies, but a lot of the strategies he's following are incorrect. They're just dumb strategies. Like, for example, he doesn't believe in confirming. So he believes, like, let's say I set a date with a girl 3 days from now, day of the date, you just show up and hope she's there. That's a dumb fucking strategy. Like, that's not effective game. So there's a lot of dumb strategies, but it's like, is he fake? Not really. I mean, he's just has some bad teachings and bad game, but he's not, but he does. I don't think he's claiming anything that he's not doing. So it's like, but there are a bunch of people who I do feel like claim shit that they're not actually doing. I
think an ugly side of your industry is you do need proof. In my opinion, if you're going to claim that you're an expert in something, I do think you need to show proof. And with business, I can show I make X amount. If I want to have a real estate course, here's how much rental income I make. But with women, it's like, how are you good with texting women? Or how are you good with Tinder? How are you good with meeting them in person? You kind of have to show proof like, yeah, this girl's desirable. Because if you were the Donovan Sharp is a name you mentioned, if the woman you're married to isn't desirable by most men, which is kind of where that 10 scale comes in, like how much skill do you really have? And so then it becomes a game of like needing to show the women you're with, which I wouldn't care for if I was in your industry. I don't like that, that you have to show, here's all the women I banged this month, but you kind of need to prove you're legit, which is kind of like a unfortunate reality of that industry.
I think it should be that way, but in reality, 90% of the dating coaches don't show close to zero proof. So you actually can make a shitload of money in this industry without showing any proof. Like me personally, so my whole thing has always been online. That's kind of like, I do cold approach and shit, but like that's primarily my thing. So on my website, playingfire.com, I have over 40 love reports with every single screenshot from start to finish. So you can see.
You call them love reports?
Yeah, we
short-term love.
We don't want to call it late reports, but
got it.
Yeah, so like you can see from start to finish. I have another 20 to 30 in my videos. In my product, I have another like 10 or 15. In the forums, I have another 30 or 40. So publicly on the internet, there's over 100 examples of me banging a girl from Tinder or other dating apps from start to finish, right? Yeah. My only ethical thing is I don't want to ever dox a girl. So I'm a big believer in privacy. So I never want my actions to affect a girl who doesn't want to be doxxed. So I always like heavily censor the girl's face and any personal info. Some guys are like, oh, what does the face look like? But I can't show you the face unless you're a close friend of mine because I can't take the risk of this girl getting doxxed.
Yeah, so nor would you want to. I mean, I would feel so bad. Imagine the flip side, which by the way, like the manosphere, I don't know if you consider yourself part of the manosphere, but like one of the ugly parts of the manosphere is that they make a lot of statements and whatnot about women, but then if you flipped it on them, they would react the same way. If I got with a girl on Tinder and I found out she had a popular website and was like posting my screenshots and hey, this popular YouTuber wanted to have sex with me on the first night and here's the naughty text he sent me, like I would feel awful if people found out it was me.
I kind of have mixed feelings about that. So if someone does that to me, as long as they're not lying or misrepresenting me, I'm fine with it. Simply because I feel like I made the choice to be a public figure. So I accept there's pros of that and there's cons. But a girl who hasn't, so I have a complete different standard for going after someone who's a public figure, who's a non-public figure. I'll never go after a non-public figure because if a girl or a guy has decided they don't want that, which is what 99% of people, they don't want to be a public figure. I will never ever like go after them because that's their choice. I don't care what they're doing. If someone has decided that they're going to be a public figure, I feel like you have to accept the pros and the cons with that. The problem is
as long as there's some level of expectation of not being private, that's where I have like if I'm texting a girl and it's expected to be private, I would have a feeling that's where my line would be crossed. Personally,
yeah, sure. No, I mean, if a girl did that to me, that would be like the end of that relationship. But I'm just saying, like, I wouldn't be like shocked, I guess, or as outraged if it happened to me. I mean, like, yeah, I mean, to me, the biggest issue is when people misrepresent or like actually take like, for example, Vice Magazine, they did an article on me. They hardcore slandered me. Like, so they basically made it seem like
I need to read that.
Yeah, they said that they basically what they were saying is that my Facebook group was like revenge porn. Like the main purpose of my Facebook group was for guys to show pictures of girls that they fucked. You know, it's like, no, like it's about learning. 1% of it is about bragging and flexing, but it's 99% of it is about learning. We are not anything close to revenge porn. And we always deleted posts where the guy would give away either the face or the personal info. Like every time we had a team of moderators. So to say that we're revenge porn in any way is like so deceiving. So that's like a mainstream magazine that was able to get away with like completely publicly because I'm not going to sue them. Like they'll win. They have better lawyers and shit than me, so it's not
worth your time and energy either. And the cost.
No, yeah, and well, actually, speaking of lawsuits,
I was going to say this is a natural transition.
Yeah, natural transition. So, do you want to share what happened to you recently?
It's interesting when you bring up private versus public figure because I think that's at the heart of defamation. Is this person public or private? And so I'm being sued by Wealthy Inc. and Dale Buskowski. That is the real legal name of Derek Moneyberg, the brand. And my videos were about Derek Moneyberg, who is a public figure, right? If you're using a trade, well, that's my argument, right? If you're using a different name and 1.7 million on Instagram, you're a public figure. Well, anyway, the lawsuit's basically the central theme is defamation.
Yeah, which I think which in my opinion, again, I wasn't there for the video, but in my opinion, there was no defamation at all. You were expressing opinion. If you're a public figure, you're allowed to criticize. I think the problem is a lot of these guys, because they know they're fucking up and they don't want criticism because the criticism makes them look bad. But my solution is like, just stop fucking up, man. Like, stop lying. Then maybe people won't give you unfair criticism. In my opinion, like, you're allowed to criticize public figures. Like, I'm allowed to make a video that says, this is why, I think Spencer's work is bad. What I can't say is make up lies about you. You can't say, hey, Spencer actually offered to blow me for $100 or something like that.
There were some criminal accusations, whether true or untrue, we'll find out. And so I do think this one's valid in the sense that this wasn't like his product's bad or he has ugly hair or something. And so there were claims made by John. And if you want to see my video, just watch John's video on it because he said the same stuff. I actually didn't make any claims in the video, which is why I'm not stressed at all about this. I'm only stressed about the potential financial damages to me and affording a lawyer. Yeah. But I'm not concerned about actual damages because I just didn't do it.
The way I see it, I think there's a lot of legal bullying that goes on. And
it is.
It's not only in our industry; it's like in every industry. Like the people who have money, they legally bully the people who don't have money. Like Seeking Arrangement did that to me. They sent me a cease and desist because I had a video on Seeking Arrangement. I didn't criticize the website at all. I just gave strategies how you can, be successful on there. They don't want people talking about, giving the truth because they have this fucking rosy bullshit story that's actually about women meeting successful men. In reality, it's like legal prostitution. That's really what it is. Like,
you're dancing around that line.
They want to keep dancing. So they send me a cease and desist saying they're going to take me to court if I don't do this and this and this. And it really came down to who's going to outspend who. They're a multi-million-dollar company. I'm a small business. I'm not, even though I'm right, I'm not going to beat them in court. It's just not going to happen. They're going to spend more money on lawyers. If I had the same budget as them, the same lawyers, I would destroy them. So it's like, okay, well, what do I do at this point? Well, I took the video down. Like I'm not going to bankrupt my company over one video.
Sense. Yeah, it makes, even if you have to spend $2,000 just to respond, like $2,000 for a video that makes you a few $100, it just doesn't make sense. You can't. It's a dying strategy, right? If you keep doing that, at some point you will bankrupt the company.
Yeah, actually, if it was 2 or 3 grand, I would have totally done it. But it was going to be like tens, if not hundreds of thousands, like if the whole thing dragged out. Because litigation isn't cheap, especially
Wow.
if you get a good lawyer. So yeah, so I've been on the other end of that, and I think it fucking sucks. Like I hate this legal bullying, like shit that goes on. Like,
And that's what happens.
Yeah, and that's what, in my opinion, is going on here. Again, in my opinion.
Yeah, it basically is. I mean, I hope we file a motion to dismiss and it gets thrown out. That's best case scenario. If it doesn't, then I don't know, man.
Yeah, like in my opinion, I'll just say this: all the RSD guys do very shady shit, and I think there's nothing wrong with calling it out. Like, and I think it needs to be done. Like, they do a lot of shady shit, and they lie a lot. Like, like if you let's say you're hanging out with your group of friends, and you have one friend who's constantly lying to you guys. You would call out the friend. You'd be like, "Yo, dude, like you just made that up." Like we had that in high school, but like
criticism is healthy, man. Like this is the funny thing about the fake gurus is I'm totally comfortable with people criticizing me as long as you don't make criminal accusations or you say something that or you try to do like a deep fake. That's the one thing I am worried about is like a deep fake with your face and making like racist comments or something like you never did, but because the deep fake makes it look like you or something, like that would be pretty bad. But I'm totally cool with criticism. If you don't like what I do or you think I'm wrong, I'm totally cool with it because I don't have some facade that I have to live up to. I'm not trying to sell you on success of who I am as a person, but what these guys live on is this facade. Right. And so if you start poking holes in the facade of this big business expert, big business guru, when you start poking holes, well, on a shaky foundation, everything topples over.
And I think there's some very shaky foundations out there. Let's get a little more specific. So we'll take the. Oh, by the way, guys. So actually, since we're on this topic, I'm gonna start a GoFundMe because I think what's going on with Spencer is fucked up. Me and John are gonna start a GoFundMe. We'll post it. So whatever you guys can, if you contribute $10, $20, I think it's for a good cause. I'm personally gonna throw in at least a few $100s because I think it's fucked up, and I think that it's legal bullying. And in my opinion, the whole thing is like actually, what's the term? False litigation,
frivolous lawsuit.
Frivolous lawsuit, which I think is a huge part of the system in America, and it's so fucked up. And these guys are fucking doing it, and something I think is really fucked up.
Well, the legal system itself is kind of messed up because I'm not guilty of what I did. I'm simply a reporter. I had someone on who had a firsthand experience with someone, and they're sharing their story. We're also sharing emails from clients and ex-students that were shared with us, and yet. I might have to spend a lot of money. It could be a little. Hopefully, it's a little. It could be a lot. And
it just depends on whether it goes to court or not, really.
Yeah, and what if I didn't have money? Right? Like, what happens? Do you just bankrupt your company because of one video?
I mean, that is what happens. Like some people, they disband their company and start a new company, but you can only do that if you're not a name brand. Like my dad, a while ago, he had some bullshit lawsuit. He's in construction. And this lady was just like making up the craziest shit. So he had to disband the whole company and start a new one. But because there was no name brand associated with it, it didn't make a difference. But like with someone like me playing with fire, where there's a strong name brand, I can't if I disband playing with fire, I'll have to pretty much start over like 80-90%. So yeah, it is crazy. And a lot of people do get fucked over. So yeah.
That's really interesting. Yeah, but it's unfortunate that they can do this.
Super unfortunate.
And he never sent a cease and desist. Like if he sent a cease and desist months ago and I didn't respond, well, yeah, it's fair to then pursue legal action.
Oh, really? He did. I did not know that. So he did not.
He sent the cease and desist, but he sent it at the same time as the complaint.
Isn't that going to fuck him over in court? I thought the procedure was you're supposed to give 2 weeks after the cease and desist.
Well, here's something kind of shady. Here's something my lawyer said. A part of damages and claiming damages is there needs to be a mitigation of damages, right? If I know that you made a video about me calling me X, Y, and Z that's very damaging to my brand, and I feel like it's costing me money in business, if I know that and I don't send you a cease and desist right away, I can't then claim damages, right? There was a timestamp in one of the exhibits in the lawsuit. This is public, by the way. He has a timestamp. So you're familiar with Facebook ads, right? Yeah. So he has a Facebook ad where you can click a link to find about consultation with him. There's a comment linking to my video with John, and the timestamp is 11 weeks. 11 weeks. That means the comment from my video was 11 weeks old when he saw it. you can't then claim damages for that long on your ad. If you were aware of my video for 11 weeks and you never sent a cease and desist, you then can't claim damages because you can't then charge me with damages when you didn't try to stop the problem. My email is public. I would have taken down the video immediately upon finding out that there was defamation.
Yeah, I honestly don't know enough about the legal system to comment on that. Like, this is like way outside my expertise.
Yeah, I mean, I'm finding out about it by talking to lawyers, right? This is new to me as well, but it makes sense, right? You can't then wait a year and just go, oh, for the past year, it's cost me so much business, but yet you knew about it. Like you never called me, you never emailed me. You could have easily emailed me a cease and desist right away. You never did, and so there's no mitigation of damages, which is going to hurt him if this goes deep. The longer this goes, the more it plays in my favor. I have all the evidence on my side. I'm not worried at all. It just comes down to cost.
I think it's going to make him look bad because like now we're talking about, so like people are going to be like, well, like fuck this guy. I mean, again, I think like we were kind of talking about this earlier. A lot of these channels, it's like a cult. So when you're in the cult, like there could be a video. Here's the key word. Could be a video of him like jerking off 5 dudes. His diehard followers would be like, well, you know, his hand fell on the dick.
It's very masculine, right? It's very masculine.
It was a masculine hand job. It wasn't a feminine.
He took advantage of other men.
It was extracting
him who's boss.
Okay, it's a part of his 5-day boot camp.
He was so masculine that he. By the way, we're not speaking about Derek. We're speaking about any guru out there. Any guru out there. Yeah, he's like jerking off some other guy. So he like had the masculinity to take on that guy and take his clothes off and just. That other guy bent to his frame. Yeah, you could. Yeah, they really are cults, by the way.
It is a cult. Sure. I always tell my guys to think for yourself. If the stuff I say makes sense, just try it. If it works, it makes sense. If it works for you, then keep going with it. But I don't want you to take anything I say as gospel. I want you to like critically think.
Absolutely, and I hope when this is over, look straight up. I'm not a pushover. But if right away, if I get told here's an NDA and there's no more legal costs, I'm signing it. I don't give a shit. I'm signing it out of self-preservation. But if this goes down a certain path and I talk to my lawyers and get approval from them, there will be videos about this and it will not be beneficial to a certain someone.
I hope so, man. That looks like it's going to be very entertaining. So kind of going back to like the other fake gurus. So who, in your opinion, are like some other, like, it doesn't have to be just in the dating community, what like other communities as well? Who do you think are like the biggest offenders?
Yeah, the internet marketers mostly. So with fake gurus, I use that term because a lot of them exist in a gray area. There's certainly fraudsters where they come out and say one thing and they're not doing it, or the straight up scam. So there's a lot going on in crypto right now where people are pulling, rug pulling, where they create a crypto, they spike the coin by promoting it, pull the rug by selling all their equity. And that's a scam. So when I say fake guru, I'm talking about the gray area of people where the success might not be there. They kind of postulate themselves more than they really are. So some of the first people I went after are the Dan Locks. Robert Kiyosaki is one of the worst because he ran the seminar circuit, which is one of the worst. He was a part of this real estate seminar circuit that is hands down one of the worst operations I've ever seen in business.
Okay.
And so those are some of the big names. But what I've now become aware of is that these fake gurus are one thing, and that they have some students that get taken for money, and it's sad, and I don't like that. But then you find out about scams and pyramid schemes and people pulling fraud. I made a video that was real popular about online dating scams. You might find it interesting, and it's these guys that date these rich women and take them for a ride. That's a scam, man. So they try to date them and lead them on, and then oh man, my business needs money real quick, and I get paid on the first from this one account, and so I just need a quick $800,000 to pay these vendors, and they take these women for a ride, dude. It's crazy. I'm talking big money, like millions. And so, like when we're talking scams, dude, that's if you want to label it as how much money is lost, there's scammers out there scamming for tens of millions. There's a guy named Hush Puppy who was big on Instagram. I'm gonna make a second video about him soon. He was scamming for tens of millions. He was gonna scam one of the big soccer clubs in England or Europe for like 100 million. So when you talk about worst, I see those guys as now worse than these internet marketers.
Yeah, that is true, I guess, in some way. I mean, like, I think the high pressure sales tactics that RZ does is pretty fucked up. Like, I've actually seen this firsthand. So, okay, if you want to be a winner, go on this side of the room, and winner means you buy their boot camp. If you are a loser, stay over here. Like, basically, I'm paraphrasing.
A lot of manipulation.
But like, like a lot of these guys are very impressionable and weak. Like, they have weak frames. Like that's so fucked up. Like I would never want someone to sign up for my program because they feel pressured into it. Like Like to me, that's just like that. Like makes me roll my eyes, and like I think ultimately, like down the line, it's actually worse for their business. I think it gives you short-term gains, but I think you lose your trust with your customers, and you lose like your brand just gets diluted. I think long-term it's a mistake, that kind of
It's
shit.
worked for them though. That's what's crazy. I actually had a really good experience with RSD because back in the day, I used to follow them religiously, and I went out and had success, more success than I had ever had with women. And so I don't really speak bad about RSD.
No, me too. But did you actually
Yeah.
do the boot camps, or this is just like the free content?
No, only product I bought was Pimp by Julian back in 2014.
That's the best product they have. Pimp is
Oh,
actually.
is it really?
I've always said this. Pimp is actually a legit product that I will
Hit the
recommend.
infield. I bought it because the infield, and here's why. There was someone released the infield on like YouTube, like all the compilation of infield for like, it was like 2 hours worth. I actually bought the product more because I just wanted to pay for, even though someone stole the free videos, I wanted to, or excuse me, they stole the videos and put it on YouTube for free. I wanted to pay just because of how much value I got from the videos.
No, Pimp was a legit product. The inner game stuff was he nailed it on the head. The outer game stuff I think is decent, but there could be improvements. But the inner game stuff I think he nailed on the head in that product. Unfortunately, I think that's the best product RSD ever put out. Execute the Program was decent by Jeffy. It's really highly outdated now. I think my content blows it through the roof, but of course I'm biased. I think it's outdated, but that was a decent one at the time. But like there are other products. Like I used to also be a big RSD fan. Just fucking suck, man. Like it's a shame. And again, the problem is that they're not a full-on scam, or they're not full-on like fake gurus. There's some, especially back in the day, like 5-6 years ago, I would say that 50% of the stuff RSD talked about was actually good. Like there's a value in that company and their free videos. I just think that it's gone really downhill. And like, getting, like now they replaced Todd with what's his name, Luke, and just like from what I've heard, Luke has like no integrity at all, and he's just like a big slob.
Interesting. I've actually met him. I've talked to him in person.
What's your take?
It was very brief. It was at, funny enough, an internet marketing conference back when I used to look up to a lot of these people. And I saw him it was during a break, and I chatted with him for a minute about Vegas, or it was nothing in particular. And he was looking to start a product. This was back in 2015.
Oh, okay, before.
This was years ago. This was years before he was like well known. He was just kind of small in the RSD world as the kind of the guy off to the side.
Yeah, from like what I've heard, again, we're going off because this is secondhand because I've never actually done an RSD bootcamp. From what I've heard okay, this is like with Todd, old RSD Todd, like he may not have the best game, but he tries. And I have my issues with Todd, but like he tries, and he tries to help you get the best experience. He's not just going to let his students bomb. What I've heard with the Luke program, it's like Luke just fucking hangs out, sits down, fucking eats pizza or drinks, and like the students, it's just the students and the assistant coaches. He literally offers close to no like personal coaching. So you're just basically like you're signing up for a boot camp with him, but really what you're getting is a boot camp with an RSD intern, which really comes down to luck of the draw, because if the intern is good, then you might have a decent experience. But if the intern
the price tag of these things, man, I don't understand how they fill up, dude. Like what, like $2 or $3 grand a weekend. I know this is your industry, but for me, I feel like the boot camps, the model just doesn't work, because I feel like
100% agree. I've been saying this for ages. I think the boot camp is you could not, even with the best instructor, you could not really learn game in 2-3 days. All you can do in 2-3. Okay, I will correct myself. If a student has all the right inner game, and which is less than 10% of students, and the only thing that's missing is his strategy, so he's either doesn't know strategy or he's following the incorrect strategy, in 2-3 days, you can actually make a tangible difference in that. With inner game, which is again 90% of the issues, like inner stuff, you cannot make any difference in 2-3 days. Not close to none whatsoever. You can give the person a state boost, which they feel good for a week, but that's all you can do. Like inner change takes lots of time. So I do think that that's why I never did a boot camp. I think the model is like super flawed.
I think the monthly mastermind is the best model, where you can get people like constant feedback, constant not testimonials, but just like, hey, this student, this is what I implemented. Here's my success. It's like constantly being around that helps. Yeah, I never was interested. When I went out with a friend. Thankfully, my friends were pretty solid at pulling, and so I was very lucky to have like the right wings, which to me is probably the most valuable
actually thing. To some extent. Yeah, me too. I got really lucky that my one of my best friends in college was like a really cool natural who knew about the game, and he was able to, like, my game radically changed when he started explaining some things to me. just like going out.
Stuff is weird, man. Like I used to go out, man. Funny enough, I was in Tallahassee, Florida, at Florida State University. I used to go out with a pen. Like it was one of those nights where I tried like the mystery method bullshit, and like I did the not perfume, but the whatever the spray on your wrist, and like got girls like which one's better, you know. And I made a tally of like which one smells better. Oh man, it's so cringe.
Gave me shit. You know, another guy that I think it's important to call out. Are you familiar with? I think actually the red pill community has more offenders than possibly the pickup community. Even though
before we speak, what is your interpretation of the red pill community? More theory or more like I'm better with women?
Red pill, it's hard to explain because I get shit for this sometimes because people feel like I incorrectly define red pill and black pill. And in my defense, it's very like some guys who are red pill almost have nothing in common with other guys who are red pill. So it's very like broad, and a lot of it is just like how you define yourself. But that being said, I think of red pill as the guys who have like kind of that old school mentality that like, you know, that like women are, you know, can't be trusted, and that women are like, you know, women are going to fuck you over if you let them, and that, you know, you have to be on your guard, and like, you know, women, it's like this like kind of, and like women should be like, you know, staying at home, raising the kids. And like, it's kind of like this old school mentality. That's like again, there's different levels of it. They're red pill guys are not going to show you any proof of cold approach or anything like that. They're more like discussing theory, abstract.
And then, do you think it matters the quality? When I say quality, I think more desirable. To me, like the most desirable women are the most attractive. So, like, do you think that the women in their life being more desirable matters, or it doesn't matter at all?
I think it does. So for marketing, for fitness, it does not matter at all. But if part of your reputation is the ability to get a girl. Like, okay, if you're doing purely inner game work where you're like, okay, I just help guys who have emotional trauma, I help them release their trauma. I don't think then it matters. But but if your thing is, hey, I can, part of your brand or pitches, I can attract hot girls, then I do think it matters. Yeah. Like I think that
if she's objectively not attractive, because you're presenting, the red pill community is presenting an idea in theory and say, here's how you attract the most attractive women or most desirable, and here's how you have the best relationships. And if the women in your life aren't that desirable, then why would I follow your theory?
Yeah, dude, it's like John uses this analogy, but my version of it is like, let's say you have a guy who's claiming to be a wizard real estate. Hey, check out my real estate advice. I can get you owning 5 houses, but he lives in a shitty 1-bedroom apartment. Right. Like, what the fuck? Like, you know,
why would you? Yeah, clearly his theories don't work. Or
even a better example is a guy who's giving nonstop fitness advice, but he's fat.
Yeah, exactly.
You wouldn't take it. But then with the pickup community and the red pill community, there's this disconnect. Versus with other communities, there's not, I don't think, as much of a disconnect. Like, I don't think a fat guy can be a successful fitness influencer, but for some reason, a guy who can't get girls at all and is dating gross chicks can be a successful whatever.
I've really turned on the red pill community since John opened up my eyes to it. Because here's the problem with the red pill. You generally enter it when you're upset with women or having a bad relationship. So you're like almost entering the space from a negative place. And I think that's where a lot of that energy comes from. Because I've been through plenty of phases because I don't really focus on dating at all in my life. And so I go through phases where I don't get laid. And then when I do and I hang out with a girl I really like, that red pill stuff is just like, this doesn't interest me at all. It just sounds like a lot of really hurt men. You know what I mean? Like a lot of the content is just so negative.
There's a lot of things that they get wrong. There's some things they get right, but there's a lot of things that they get wrong. They're living, like, to go back to Fresh and Fit, for example, right? I've broken down, I've always said this. I agree with some things they say, disagree with others, but some things they get so fucking wrong. Like they're talking about, me and my girl were actually discussing this last night. They're constantly talking about like, yeah, you know, the value add to women is you can protect her. In 2021 in America, no woman is with a guy because he can physically protect her. That's not part of the deal anymore. It used to be part of the deal, you know, with our ancestors, you know, multiple generations ago. In caveman times, yes, a woman would be with a man that can protect her. That's not really the case anymore in first world countries. Like, no woman, modern woman, is like, this guy can protect me from shit, I'm going to date him.
I'd argue like, it's partially hardwired.
To some extent, but like if we go to like the clip of them where they're talking to the woman and they're talking about how like, why they're talking about like, oh, why the argument they're making is like a woman should give the guy sex no matter what. Like, you know, the guy comes home, part of the deal. Another problem is they view relationships as way too transactional, which it shouldn't be. But So the guy comes home, right? The woman should give him sex. Doesn't matter if she feels like it. Doesn't matter if she wants to. Whatever. She should give him sex. And the girl's like, well, are you gonna like maybe go down on me or give me a massage to get me in the mood? If I don't feel, it's like, no, I shouldn't have to get you in the mood. Your pleasure is irrelevant because your pleasure is not part of the deal. Part of the deal is that you're getting protection from me in case someone breaks in. And I'm just listening to this and I'm like, dude, we live in Miami high rises. No one's breaking in. We have fucking security guards. So this is just like such outdated, like fucking
It's
thinking.
very pseudo masculine. It's very much like I have the power in the relationship and I need everyone to know.
Yeah, I mean, and again, I'm a huge proponent in like every relationship I've ever been in, the girl wants to fuck more than I do. Like usually I'm the one turning down sex, so I can't keep up. So I'm a big believer that like if your girl's not giving you sex, you have a severe problem. But I don't feel like a part of the deal is that the woman has to give you sex at all hours and that her pleasure is irrelevant. And like you shouldn't even bother to try to get her in the mood because that's not part of the deal. Like I think that's.
I do have a question on them specifically. They have a course DMs on demand. What's your experience on Instagram? Like, do you DM girls on Instagram? Have you had any? By the way, I did watch one of your videos about like following the local bar and then following all the girls that follow the local bar, and like you get a warm lead that way if they follow you back. Yeah, so I'm curious about like let's say a desirable woman with 10,000 or more followers on Instagram. Do you have any experience DMing those girls?
I've tried, but I really don't do much Instagram game simply because it's very inefficient. Dating apps and cold approach is way more efficient. So
your profile isn't set up for dating either, really, for DMing.
Okay, let's use this example. So let's say that in Tinder, if I match with 10 girls, I'm gonna get one lay, like a 10% success ratio. Okay, I match with 20, 30 girls a day. That's pretty good odds, 10 girl. Let's say with cold approach, I have to go up to 5 girl. Let's say I get 50% of the girls I approach in their number, and out of those, maybe another 50%, go on a date with me. Out of those, maybe 60% bang me. So let's say I need to approach 10 girls to get one lay from cold approach, right? Okay, that shouldn't really take you that long. With Instagram, like unless you're famous and you have a blue check mark, you have to run super fucking high volume. You have to DM 100 girls to get that one girl. So the work to reward ratio is really skewed. That's not to say it's impossible. You can definitely bang chicks from Instagram, but if you can do it from cold approach or dating apps, is going to be more efficient use of your time. It's really simple as that.
Yeah, I'm going to do a video on this. I looked at their sales copy and they have like their testimonials or whatever. They have screenshots from like blue check girls responding. It's fabrication. It's a fake screenshot for sure.
Dude, did you see the video? This is actually a really funny video where the chicks roasted Fresh's profile. So like they literally have a girl on the path. It's such a funny video. This guy Kevin Ray Wilder did a breakdown of it.
I need to watch it. That guy really he hammers them.
Yeah, he really doesn't like that. I actually don't really hold much animosity towards them. Like I'm neutral about them. Like there's things that I like.
They're a show, man. Like
they're a show.
John takes it very way to the extreme because he respects the game so much. Yeah. He hasn't figured out that all they are is just a YouTube entertainment group. That's it.
It's basically like a 21st century version of like Jersey Shore or whatever. Like
and it works. They're killing it, by the way. They get crazy views.
And that's not to be hated. Like their success, it's admirable in a way. They do seem like they have really good work ethic. But that aside, so in that clip, dude, this is hilarious. So it's like, they have a panel of 5 girls, and then Fresh is like, okay, rate my Instagram. And every single chick just like destroys him. They're like, yeah, this is not attractive. I would not respond to your DMs. Like except one chick is like, maybe I would bang you. And the guy, he's like, why? Because I know you in real life. So it's not even really applicable. But all the chicks are like, no, like your Instagram is not good. And then Fresh is like, yo, Myron, roast Myron's Instagram. He's like, no. He's like, we gotta go. It's like, and he's like, no, we're not doing it. And they get into like an argument on air. Yeah. And it's crazy, but I guess their Instagram isn't really that good.
Here's where I was going with it, because they do sell this product, and that's kind of going to be the angle of the video. Number one, those screenshots are fake. You cannot DM a freaking girl with a blue check mark and get a response. I don't care what anyone says. And so I've done some tests. Like I've DM'd girls on Instagram, which is hilarious because
unless you have a blue check mark. Let's just preface it with that.
I don't.
99% of guys don't. But
all their customers are going to have 250 followers.
None of their customers have blue check mark. If they have a blue check mark, then they don't really need the course.
Yeah, exactly. So I did a little experiment on. Yes, the girls I've been messaging are of the higher tier in attractiveness, but a lot of them have like 5, 10, 20,000 followers, and they're not even seeing my DM. And my DM is not like anything aggressive. It's like something that would prompt a response, they're not even seeing it.
Oh, my experience 100% confirms that. I think I have a definitely above average Instagram. It's not great by any means, but I think it's above average. But yeah, you have to run such crazy volume. This is why I don't really talk about, like, I only do Instagram stuff because people are constantly asking me about it. So I want to give them the information, the correct information. I don't even charge them for it. Like, I just make videos.
I would need to complete this study. I would need to do girls with small accounts that might read it. But there was a girl that reached out to me that follows my YouTube. She was a nice looking girl out in UK, and she had 1,000 followers. And I asked her, I was like, hey, just curious, like, how many DMs do you get from guys? She's like, I don't even read them anymore. She has 1,000 followers. So, and she was cute. She was cute, but she was not like some knockout model girl. And that to me kind of told me everything. She has 1,000. So how many of the girls that have 20,000 followers, with a lot of them being guys?
They're not responsive. So yeah. No. So this guy, I know I'm not going to say his name because he's not a public figure, but he's a guy who I know. He's legit. I've seen him bang hotter girls from Instagram. Like, I actually know this for a fact than pretty much anyone else. So I consider him like the authority when it comes to Instagram. And what he told me, he's like, dude, I don't even bother. And his Instagram is really solid. I don't even bother DMing girls with over 5,000 DMs. Like, that's the cutoff. If you're over 5,000
followers.
Yeah, that's it. Like, and he's like, it's not worth it because I've tried the 10,000, 20,000 girls. They're not going to respond. Like, have too many DMs coming in. And my personal experience have supported that. Like, I would say it's even less. I'd rather DM girls who are under 2,000 or 3,000. The only exception is if you met the girl on cold approach, then it doesn't really matter because then you have
I'm glad I asked because I was curious if there is a differentiation. I assume there is, and I'd be interested in messaging girls under 2,000.
If you don't have a blue check mark, you're not going to get a girl with a blue check mark unless you get extremely fucking lucky, which is it's not going to be game. It's going to be luck.
And even then, like, okay, you get one response, then you're in the messages of ones she's responded to with their friends and shit, and like even then you could get drowned out.
I actively teach guys that when you're on a dating app or you're a cold approach, to not move to Instagram, but to move to text. Because in the Instagram, you're going to get lost in the sea of DMs.
Wait, guys teach that? To go from dating to Instagram?
Yeah, there's a few coaches who do.
I would never do that in a million years.
Yeah, no, there's a
few. If you get the text message, I could see sharing it just so she has a little familiarity with your lifestyle and whatnot.
So this guy who I really respect a lot, Base Zeus, so me and him had like a friendly debate about that because he actually believes in moving to Instagram. And the arguments he makes are pretty good. I personally disagree with them. But I think he also has a really dope Instagram, so I think it works for him. I think most guys have a shitty Instagram.
Oh, yeah, easily. Look, if you've got a blue check mark and 500,000 people following you, I would want everyone to view my Instagram because it'd be like social proof to the max. But if you've got 800 followers and your Instagram is like most guys, let's be real. Most of us don't live that interesting of lives to get your attention on Instagram.
The vast majority don't. And if they do, they typically don't need help from us.
True. Yeah, I was really curious about that because I do like the idea of using Instagram as dating because I feel like I'll have a decent follower number from the YouTube conversion, and then also all my pictures are with pretty legitimate people, and so I'll have some clout there. So how can I use that?
The insight I have for you is actually one of the keys. I don't want to get into too much information on this simply because the person who told me about this asked me not to go public with this. And I'm going to respect that. So I'll keep it a little bit vague and broad. But basically what he said is that the key to being successful on Instagram is actually making ads that attract, that girls will respond to. So it's actually spending a little money on like the ads and using ads as a funnel.
That's fascinating. I've seen some people mention that.
Yeah, because I don't want to give away his secret. But even that, he said, doesn't really work in like America. He said that works more in like third world countries. Like, he said in a country like America, it doesn't really work well.
Huh. That's an interesting thought because you also get the other media, the medium of like a video as opposed to just a picture. You can see how they talk. You can see how the mannerisms of the guy. You can see his voice, his tonality. Yeah,
I mean, but going back to the whole thing, I mean, I think what I wanted to say is in the Red Pill community, a guy who I know personally is a big fucking fake guru is Modern Life Dating. Are you familiar with this guy?
He's not real? What? I've never seen pictures of him with a girl or videos of cold approach or anything.
Dude.
Yeah, I know him and John have a little thing going on right now.
He starts every single one of his videos by saying how awesome he is. Like, I consider myself 1,000 times better than him. I would never in a million years claim to be the best at this. I would never say in my videos, guys, I'm the best online dating coach ever. I don't fucking know that.
And people follow him too.
Yeah, I'm like, I would never, but he literally says, guys, I'm the best. I'm by far the best. None of these other guys come close. I'm like, no, dude, you're the worst.
Here's
You're
the proof.
literally at the bottom of the barrel. You're not even close to the best. You're as far away from the best as you can possibly
You
be.
know what's funny? There's a guy, Bradley Martin, who's a big fitness guy
Yeah, I
on
know
YouTube.
Bradley. Yeah.
And I was watching one of his videos because I like his content. I was watching one of his videos and he was in Miami. And I'm like 92% sure he ran into Modern Life Dating on a boot camp because I think he went up to him and was like, "What's up, man? Brad, big fan." And I think it was him.
Really? Okay.
And he had like some guys around him who I'm assuming was a boot camp. So I guess he's running boot camps too.
I don't know what he does. I don't think he actually does boot camps. I think he had a get together in Miami. He called it Hot Dude Con, which actually sounds super gay to me.
Yeah, it might have been. That might have been it. If I find that video, I'll send it to you, like that little clip, and see if that was him.
Yeah, I think this guy's like, and I actually have there's so many scammers I can't even like name them all because it would take too long. But the reason I specifically don't like this guy is because one of my students, who's actually became my assistant coach, used to be a student of his, and the stories this guy told me, and I've close to begged this guy to go public. He just doesn't want to go public with it, which is fine. I'm going to respect that. But this guy legit like close to killed him. Let's just say like he gave him he was giving him medical advice that, first of all, he has no qualifications to make, and second of all, could have actually killed this person. He literally destroyed his self-esteem. Like he was he not only did he not help this guy, he actually actively hurt him. So when I hear stories like that, like I just have no sympathy for the coach. Like if
a lot of these guys are real dark. There's a dark energy around them, which I'm not too into, like the spiritual pseudoscience stuff, but I do get that sense where some of these guys have a real dark energy. When you work for them, there's a certain energy within these fake gurus that because they're out to take, right? They're out to scam. They're out to present themselves as more than they are and upsell you to oblivion, even if you can't afford it.
Yeah, one thing I've noticed is the fake gurus hang out with fake gurus. It's like they circle jerk each other. So they're all like, it's rare that you see like the real guys hang. It happens sometimes, but it's not often that you see the real guys hang out with the fake guys. Like it's often all the scammers are hanging out together.
Real recognize real, right?
Dude, yeah. Because I'm not going to cross promote with a fake scammer. Like I just won't do it, even if he's going to get me views. Like I won't do that shit. It's crazy. They're all like hanging out. I think another guy who's, I don't want to call him a full on scammer, but highly in that category is Rollo Tomasi.
Yeah, that goes back to my question. He's just a theory guy. He's never presented himself as being great with women.
He's a theory guy who has 30-40% incorrect theories, whose theories are retarded, and who has close to no experience with women, and has probably slept with less than 10 women in his life. And
I'm not defending him, by the way. I don't follow him. I'm just he's one of these, like I said, like a gray area where, he's just presenting theories, and you might disagree. There's nothing wrong with that. But what are you trying to get out of him? Are you trying to follow him to get better with women, to understand women better? I think from your angle, a lot of these guys are to impress that red pill community. Want to speak about impressionable young men. That red pill community is full of them, man. And so if maybe that's where some of the animosity towards some of these fake gurus will go, is that they're teaching young men who are impressionable some bad advice.
And it fucks a lot of guys up. That's the thing. Like it's not only that it's not helping, sometimes it's actually hurting guys and setting them back. And it's getting
there's some guys that really hate women after following the red pill stuff. Like hate women. It's like, screw them. I'm going to get back at them what they did to me.
No, it's so like these guys are damaged for years. Like sometimes, like for example, the guy who I was talking about, like he actually said, he told me verbatim that during that period while he was following MLD, he actively started to like be mean to women because he thought that's how you had to behave. And he said that he started to like detest women. And during that time, he like sabotaged all his relationships because he thought that's what it was supposed to be. And then he discovered my content. He's like, oh shit, like this guy's not being rude or mean to women.
You should be coming from a standpoint of love to like really enjoy a woman's presence, and that's why I think a lot of the dating stuff, it really comes from you yourself. Like if you're in a good place in life, you're going to have a much better experience dating, which you were saying earlier about internal game. That's why it takes months, could take years. It might even take a guy getting out of a job he hates, maybe just that shift.
There's so much to it.
Yeah, he'll have a better mindset when he's texting girls. Something interesting for you. So the current house I live in is not a house. For the longest time, it was a piece of shit house. I put $110,000 of rehab into it. And so for the longest time, I was not wanting to bring girls here. And I think subconsciously I would block myself. One thing I'm fascinated in, this new house that I'm under contract to buy, it's $500,000. It's huge, 3-story, 3,100 square feet, really nice neighborhood, super nice. And I'm going to be interested to see if my ability to pool will actually increase, because I'm almost wanting to show the girls my house as a way of like, yo, I own this, as opposed to now where it's like, I don't really want you to come see where I live.
It's funny you say that, because last night someone wrote in the comments for one of my videos, do a video on setting up the perfect bachelor pad, and today I wrote out the outline. So I'm actually planning on shooting that video literally after we get off this call. I had the cleaning lady come today, so like the place is clean. So I was literally going to cover this. So that's pretty funny you asked me that. But my perspective on this might not be something a lot of guys agree with, but I think that it really doesn't make as much of a difference as people think. I think that it becomes extreme. It's like you just have to be over a certain baseline. So if you live in a crack house and shit like that, that's actively going to hurt your game and the results of women. As soon as you get above a certain point, and that point is not that high, you're just like, there's not needles sticking out everywhere. It's not like crack whores hanging out in your apartment. It's not like a super ghetto part of town. Then it really just doesn't make that much of a difference unless you're going after sugar babies. To be honest, like a big part of my life, I didn't have money and I lived in really shitty places. Like I used to live in Koreatown in LA in a house with 12 people. It was like in the fucking hood. There was a gate around it because, it was like fucking crackheads hanging out outside and shit. It was, dude, this house was so ghetto that one day one of my male roommates literally assaulted one of the female roommates because she left her laundry in the dryer for too long. Like that's like only ghetto drama. Only ghetto people would do shit like that. Like no like successful person is going to fight someone else because of laundry. So that place was so fucking ghetto. And actually I had to call the police because he was actively like hurting her. And I didn't want to like physically get involved because this guy was pretty fucking scary. It's funny because the police actually arrested him and dragged him off to jail. But anyway, that's a story for another day. So this place was like a fucking shithole, and I lived. So there was like the main house. I lived in like almost like the, I hate using, but like the slave quarters, like like, which was like a little
like a casita, second house, guest house.
Yeah, but it was like far from a guest house. It was like the peasant house. I lived in that. It was like a fucking shithole, and I was getting laid a lot. Like I was at that point, my game was already pretty good, and I was getting laid, close to just my game wasn't as efficient back then, but I was getting laid close to as much as I am now. So I think that it's a baseline thing. I think actually what matters a lot more than the quality of your house is your logistics. So I think that if you can have a really nice house in the outskirt of town or an average house in the center of town, in terms of purely for pussy, you're going to be better off with the average house in the center of town.
I actually respectfully disagree with what you're saying a little bit. Okay. And so I think the central node, like at the top of the food chain, is if your game's really good and you know how to frame things, a woman will bend to your reality, right? So if you're like, this is the dopest house ever, I'm so thankful to own it, like, and you make it sound cool and you have good game and she's super interested, yeah, I agree. Like at some point, as long as the AC is working and there's a roof on your head, like you'll be fine. But I think for most guys, you will be more proud of a certain house and you will be more likely to lead the girl to coming back to your place because you want to not necessarily show it off, but you're a little proud of it. Like, hey, I've got a hot tub, right? If you've got a hot tub at your house, you will be more likely to pool than not having a hot tub, in my opinion, because that'll be an easier logistics. Like,
no,
hey,
I would agree. I would actually agree with that. I think that we're talking indirect benefits. Yes, vast majority of guys will feel more confident, which will help them with game. But if we look at it just direct, like if you take the guy with this who can, kind of like me, who never really, I guess it's like a mental thing. I don't know. I've never really like put that much value on money. So to me, when I was living in like a shitty place, I never saw it as a big deal. Which I think a lot of guys would. So for a lot of guys, it would be a mental roadblock. So if you're one of those people who can keep your confidence the same, then I don't think it really matters much. It matters a little bit, but I don't think it matters much. But if you're, I do agree with you that most guys, their confidence will increase when they're living in a nicer house, and that as a result of that, they will get laid more.
Yeah, because we can agree. Let's say you've had 3 drinks with the girl on the date, and it's kind of come time where like a guy with good game knows how to go from where you're currently at to pulling home. There's a certain strategy, certain words used, framing, all this, and then there's a way to not get laid. I think a guy living in a nicer house would do the things necessary to get laid. And I'll give you a quick story. I met up with a girl at a park who I had slept with a couple years prior. We had met up for the first time in like a couple years. I was dealing with bed bugs in my house, and my house just didn't look good from the outside. It had yet to be painted, so it looked like a construction site. And that I was tentative to pull, and I think that's why I didn't try and pull. because in my mind, it's like I had bed bugs. I didn't really want her to bring her back to a place where there might be bed bugs. Like I was still unsure if they were
I
in my
think the
room.
bed bugs though is a little bit of an extreme example because you could theoretically
No. I'm with you, but my point is like there was a mental block dealing with the house. So it could come in various forms. It could be either bed bugs, or it could be I have too many roommates, or I have a loud roommate, or I have my mom in the other room. The point is that there's a mental block with your logistics of where you live.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with that. I've seen with some of my coaching clients, they'll be like, "Yeah, man, can you help me pull to this girl's place?" I was like, "Why are you trying to pull to her place? It's always better to pull your place." And my place is kind of, shitty. I'm embarrassed.
Yes.
I'm like, no, pull to your place. So I do see there's definitely a big mental component to having a shitty place, and there's like a mental component to having a nice place. But again, like if you can short circuit that. And like, don't get me wrong, I think you should strive to live in a nice place. I'm also like, I like living in a nice place. My place isn't super fancy, but I have like a condo in the center of, Miami. I have like an ocean view.
Is that the Brickell area? Is that what it's called?
I'm in the center of Brickell. Like I live in a good place. Like, and like but I do it mostly for myself, not for the chicks. Like, again, but yeah, like if you can get yourself to be confident in a shitty place, then you're gonna be good. But you should always strive to live in a nice place anyway, because it's good to have goals and shit.
Yeah, well, good game solves everything, right? Like I'm speaking, if you're like dealing with average guy, I think
it doesn't solve really bad looks. That's the only thing.
Sorry. So I'm speaking about like if you have really good tactical game, like if you're on the date whether you live in a fucking 5-bed house or a mansion, it probably doesn't matter because you're gonna know how to pull either way.
Yeah. I mean, I've had sex with girls in some sketchy play. Like I remember when I was at UCSB, like Santa Barbara, I went to a party there, and I was walking back at 3 a.m., see a random chick, and me and her, we had nowhere to go. Like she had roommates. I didn't even have a place to stay. I was driving home that night. We wound up having sex in like the fucking dryer or whatever in like whatever, one of the buildings, like just random dryer. So I've had like a lot of random sex in random places.
Yeah, it's on, right?
Nowadays, I don't really do that because like I'm a man of comfort now, so I want to have sex in my bed. But like back in those days, I was like ruthless. I would fuck anywhere. I fucked in my car a million times, fucked in like fucking dumpsters and shit. Like, yeah, it's been a wild ride. But so before we jump into the questions, is there anyone else you want to point out that you think is important to call out?
I do it all on my channel. So if you really want to check out my channel if you want to. I've been a little tentative to like really call people out. When you get your first lawsuit, it definitely makes you change a little bit.
Oh, for sure.
But yeah, I cover most of them in my content. So if you're interested, check it out. But there's so many, man. There's just so many. It's unfortunate.
All right. Fair enough. Well, check out his channel, guys. All right, so let's take some questions. Do you have another 20 minutes or so?
Yeah, man. Let's do it. I'm gonna get a pizza after this, so
cool.
I'm cool.
I haven't eaten all day. I've been fasting. Sometimes I do 24-hour fasts, which actually, as a side note, are great. Should we take coaching from a female dating coach? Yes, I don't have a problem with female dating coaches as long as they're honest, which the same thing with male coaches. So like Kezia Noble, I would truly trust to give accurate advice. What are your thoughts on this?
Dating's a very broad topic. So I think it's smart to always niche down, and like, it sounds like you're really good with Tinder specifically and online dating. So that to me is different than a cold approach expert versus a relationship expert versus a marriage expert. So I think marriage expert, maybe not marriage, but I do think there's some value in like relationships from women. It's always good to have differing thoughts. Even if you completely disagree with a certain woman, it doesn't mean that listening to her would not be valuable. She might be able to present some, or even sometimes girls looking at your profile, they'll be able to point stuff out like, yo, this picture is really ugly, by the way.
Yeah, I
think that's the difference.
You know how they have this expression that some coaches use? They say, don't ask a fish how to catch a fish, right? But I disagree with that. I disagree with that. I think that a woman can actually be a really good coach, assuming that she's honest, which is rare. Like, because it's not only they have to be honest with you, they have to be honest with themselves, which is not a lot of people can do, especially women. So because like most women will be like, when you're like, so what do you look for in a guy? I just want someone nice. Right, that's what they'll say. So a woman has to be very self-aware to be a dating coach. But I think I don't want to keep like pointing her out. But Kezia, I think she has that. The reason I'm mentioning her is because she's the one that I know, and the one who I've had on my channel. But she's like, no, like I might say I'm attracted to the nice guy, but I want the guy who's like dominant and shit. So assuming the woman is self-aware, then I think it can be good.
Cool.
All right, we got this guy. Moneyberg is a criminal idiot. I think you would easily just bring up his arrest about when he was selling drugs in the house. Yeah, I sort of agree with that.
Yeah, I have that lawsuit and will be sending it to my lawyer. What's funny is in my lawsuit, he brings up Derek Moneyberg, he was innocent of this one in this one lawsuit, but they don't mention the other one, which I believe that person is alluding to, which I am very familiar with.
Uh-huh. Yeah, this is just a comment. Showing intent without neediness is the best attraction tip. Yeah, for sure. It's kind of a fine line to walk. But the way I think about it is like, okay, like when I was it's a kind of weird analogy, but when I was trying to get you to come on my podcast, like I showed I showed intent, like, yo, dude, I want you. I wasn't like, yeah, man, it'd be cool if maybe. I was like, yo, dude, I wanted you on the podcast, but I wasn't needy. So it's like the same type of thing, right? Like you can show intent, like, yo, I think you're hot and I want to hook up with you, but you're not needy. You don't need that. So I think that it's possible to like find that nice balance, which is really where the money's at. I used to watch Derek. He said most of his family are lawyers. That was probably a lie, in my opinion. Don't know.
Interesting. If you find the lawsuit, you'll find out that his. I'm not going to speak too far on this, but in a previous lawsuit, it read that his father was involved with criminal activity, and I'll leave it at that. But look up the lawsuit with Longboat Drive. There's two of them. They were not lawyers.
Give us an example of a scammer on YouTube. I mean, Modern Line Dating we just gave. In terms of fitness, there's a lot of fake natties. I'm trying to remember.
Oh, that's one of the worst, man.
Yeah, there's so many of them. Do you know any off the top of your head, like the fake natties? I just don't follow the fitness community.
How many do you want me to list? I don't know. I'm not good off the top of my head. I don't know everyone. But when someone says a scammer, you got to be careful with scamming. To me, the definition, it's very important that we stick to words here. The definition, if as I said, hey, Alex, I'm going to sell you my course on how to start YouTube. You pay me $1,000 and I never deliver the course. That's a scam to me, and that's illegal. What a lot of fake gurus do, they don't necessarily scam, but it's scam me. When I say, hey, look, I'm going to show you how to get 100,000 followers on YouTube in the next year. That's scammy because very few people can do it, but it's not a scam because I'm delivering you the exact information I have to do that. And so that's why
you're 100% right on that. I think people use words like interchangeably, but yeah, I mean, there's a bunch like, and I think in my opinion, it's like degrees of scamminess.
Yes.
So, for example, like someone like AMS, I wouldn't say he's legit, but I wouldn't say he's scammy either. He's somewhere in the middle. So his degree of scamminess is versus someone like RSD Tyler is a much higher degree of scamminess. Versus someone like MLD is an even a higher degree. So I just think very few guys are completely legit, and everyone else just comes down to degrees of scamminess. And like someone who's a mild degree of scamminess, that's like, whatever. Like I would never call them out. Versus someone who's like a complete fucking high degree of scamminess. That's where like you gotta like call those people out.
Agreed. And keep in mind, the person who commented, it becomes a different game when you have a public persona. Like I have something to lose when I make claims. Like the Derek lawsuit's going to cost me a lot of money, and so I have to be careful with words now that I get the attention I do. And so I always keep that in mind. That you got to be real careful with making claims.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, for sure. I mean, you have to watch out for the legal stuff. I try to be somewhat conscious of it, but I definitely.
It's just too easy to take down. That's all. Like when you start calling someone a scam, it's legally easy to take you down.
Right. Okay. Got it. The one thing RSD Tyler hit right on the nose is meditation is the only cure for approach anxiety. So I agree with that. Meditation is great. Do you personally meditate?
Not at all. My mind races a million miles a minute, and I think it's an amazing exercise. I don't know. I should do more of it. Maybe I shouldn't do it. I don't know. I don't really have.
Yeah, meditation has been scientifically proven to be like very effective for various things. So like it's been studied. It's been around for thousands of years. I personally, I don't meditate regularly now, but I should. But I've noticed when I was getting into game, when I would meditate for a week and not meditate, my game was actually better. I have
noticed when I do meditate and just take a second to get away from my phone alone is like anxiety reducing. I have noticed whenever I chill and just relax for a minute and breathe. By the way, I've been under insane levels of stress for like 2 years straight. So like that's part of it is I constantly have problems to solve. And so I haven't felt like I've had a chance.
What else has it been besides the lawsuit?
Well, I lost all my money flipping houses.
Oh.
So that was like a year and a half, 2 years of just insane stress of, that's a whole nother story. But yeah, a lot of stress in my life.
I think there's other things RZ Tyler was right about. Unfortunately, all the stuff he was right about, he took all those videos down. One of the big ones was he had a video on which I thought was genius, talking about beta shaming. So he was talking about how girls will treat a guy who's perceived as alpha differently than they will treat a guy who's perceived as beta. And he actually showed an example of that. And I thought that was genius because that was something that I've kind of been cognizant of, but I never could put into words. But I agree. So there's definitely other things he got right. The problem is that they went in a weird direction. They took down all their good content. Dude, Julian used to have a video literally on whipping your dick out. Like, he used to have a video that says, if a girl is giving you LMR, whip your dick out and start jerking off. Like, can you imagine 2021 Julian saying that? Zero chance.
Yeah.
So
what's interesting is my relationships improved greatly after following RSD Tyler. That's why it's like hard for me to really speak negatively about him. I had a great experience. But then again, I was watching videos in 2012, 2013.
Which is when they were at their best.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's literally when they were at their best. I got into RSD 2013, and I was a big fan. I noticed a significant decline after Julian Gate, 2015, 2016. There was like a very noticeable drop. And dude, their free tours became different because I used to go to all their free tours. I used to live in LA, which is where most of them are. And initially, when 2013, when I started going to free tours, it was like 95% value, 5% sales pitch. So, they would mostly give you value, and then at the end they would do a sales pitch, which is to be expected. That's like, part of the game. And then I saw it become, instead of 95-5, it became 80-20, then 60-40, then 50-50, and then 30-70, where like the whole fucking tour is a sales pitch. And the last one I went to was, I'm like, I'm not going to sit here for 2 hours and listen to just a sales pitch. It was like literally like 20 minutes of value, and the rest of it was just a massive sales pitch. And I'm like, fuck this shit. Like, fuck this. Like, fuck these guys. Like, they lost their ways. Okay, I have 3-4 questions. We're sure. Right here. RSD Luke says, oh, cool, I'll help you with that tonight. And then he disappears, and you don't see him until the next day when he's late for this talk. Yeah, I heard that before.
The thing about Luke is I'm pretty sure he got connected with this guy, Michael Sartain, who's like really connected out here. And so I think he kind of rode his coattails a little bit. Like he became connected with the guy who really has social game. And so he got the benefits.
RSD Luke has a course on 9-10 game. It says all social circle game. He buys a Rolls Royce and he lives in a luxury apartment. Yeah, what I'm about to say is highly speculative, but actually I don't think it's that speculative. But in my opinion, I really doubt that RSD Luke is banging hot girls. I really doubt it. He just doesn't have the charisma. He doesn't have the looks, nor does he have the charisma to pull off being a fat slob.
He was really good looking back when he was like, if you look at his Facebook,
I've heard that.
Good looking dude, nice healthy hair, like nice blonde healthy hair, like good looking dude.
Yeah, I mean,
I can't see it now. There's no way some of these Instagram girls are with a guy like that. No way.
No way. Again, the problem, it goes back to the whole thing. There's no verification. Like, I can write tomorrow that I banged Holly Berry, and how are you going to verify that, right?
Yeah.
It just comes down to, like, does the person, like, for example, me personally, I'd rather, like, I don't want to lie to my followers, because the way I see it twofold. One, I think it's like super lame, and two, you get caught in one lie, a tiny lie, your reputation is tarnished. Like, for example, my old business partner, because it's fucking hard sometimes with like the lay reports, because, like, for example, you get one girl that you banged, but maybe she didn't look that good in the picture, or maybe the texting wasn't that good, and then you have another interaction where everything looks so fucking dope and flashy, but you didn't bang the chick, maybe you just got a hand job. So there's like, in my old business partner, I was like, yo, dude, like, why are we holding ourselves to this standard? Like, let's just bullshit a little bit. And I was like, no, dude, like, we get caught once, like, complete tarnished star. So I wouldn't allow that at P with WF. I'm like, no exaggerating, no lying. Like, we got to keep it real, even if it doesn't make us less money.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see what else we got. I took RSD Luke's course. I torrented it. Yeah, I kind of have mixed feelings on, like, torrenting, because on one hand, like, I used to be I used to torrent a lot of stuff, but now that I'm on the other hand, where people sometimes torrent my work, it's like, I don't know, how do you feel about that? Well, I guess you don't. You do have a paid course, so how do you feel about people?
I don't. No, I did for like a week. I was selling like house hacking mentorship. I don't really have an opinion on it. I used to as well in college. I used to torrent a lot of stuff. Now I would have a hard time torrenting.
Yeah. It's not something I would do. I have done in the last 5 years. Like,
but I would argue, if let's say like ad blocker. A good segue is ad blocker, right? Because I get paid from ads on YouTube, and someone using ad blocker watches my content for free, which
Sure.
hurts me a
Okay.
little bit. I'm not totally against it. I mean, it would kill me if everyone used ad blocker, but for a few people using ad blocker, it doesn't matter if they're watching all of my videos and helping the algorithm and boost my content to other people. I actually don't mind it. It's just
Yeah.
part of the game.
Yeah. My theory has always been that if you keep it real and you offer value, that I don't believe in karma or anything, but like your fans will pay you back. And like,
Yeah, just the energy of the world, right? If you're putting out good stuff to the world, it'll come back to you eventually.
yeah. So I never sweated a single thing, but at the same time, I do like when someone steals my product and then tries to sell it for a discounted price, I do actively pursue that. And I do like,
Absolutely.
because like okay, like if you're gonna just download my product for free, okay, whatever, you do you. And like I've had people even admit it, like, yo, man, I love your product. Oh, cool, man. Yeah, when did you get it? I just torrented it a few months ago. I was like, okay, like fuck you, but okay, whatever. But like,
Maybe if they send it to a friend and the friend buys, then
no, I've had that. I've had some people say I've torrented your product and then I bought it because it helped me so much to show support. But
yeah.
I will defend my intellectual property. So if you're giving away either free versions of my product or you're even worse, like what I have no tolerance for is if you're taking my product and you're selling it for a discounted price.
Yeah,
You're
that's
profiting
bad.
off my labor, so I'm gonna, do DMC takedowns. I won't get take it down. But other than that, I don't really care that much. I never sweated it. We kind of went on a tangent. What's your opinion on Todd, Alex? You want to go first?
I don't really have an opinion. I'm not in this space. I used to follow Todd when I was in RSD, but no longer.
Okay, I'll say this. I think Todd means well. I think Todd is an ethical person who means well. And I don't think Todd is nearly as big of an offender as a lot of the XRSD guys. I think he was definitely one of the more ethical guys on there. That being said, Todd, when he split with RSD, he made a video where he said, yo, guys, of course looks matter. Of course social circle game is largely bullshit. He called out all the practices, but he participated in it for a decade. So this would be like me tomorrow starting a YouTube channel. Guys, of course online dating is bullshit. Of course you can only bang fat. Like, okay, but you taught that for years. So that I see as a little problematic. I think that his game is highly overrated. I think he's way too gamey and too technical. I think that he could I see significant flaws in his game. That's not to say it's bad. I don't doubt his lay count or whatever. I think he's like intermediate in my opinion, which I'll get a lot of flack for because people think he's like the godfather. But all that doesn't really matter to me. What I dislike about Todd is he is fucking scared to come on my podcast. It's preposterous. I've reached, because this is the podcast that everyone keeps requesting me in. When at PWF, I try to if my fans want it, I'll try to make it happen, even if I don't really care about it, unless it's something like outrageous. But so my fans have been requesting this since day one, like sickest collab ever, Alex Todd, let's make it happen. So I've actively tried to make this happen. And I cold DM'd him, cold emailed him. He didn't respond. So I actually had a mutual friend introduce me. And dude, it's ridiculous. He responds to me like, hey, man, I'm not going to come on your chat. Hey, man, I appreciate the interest, but I can't come on your channel because of some outside thing that I can't tell you about. Like, and I was like, okay, man, yeah, I understand. Like, is it more of like a timing thing? Doesn't respond. Then I make that video critiquing his game. And a month later, he emails me. He's like, dude, it's not appreciated at all. Like you were, this is why I didn't come on a podcast with you. I knew because you were associated with John Anthony that you could not be trusted, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, well, first of all, dude, if you came on my podcast, even if I do think your game is kind of shitty, out of respect, if you're on my podcast, I'm not going to criticize you. So that video would have never existed anyway, simply because like, if you're going to do me the favor of coming on my podcast, even if I don't like some of the stuff you're doing, out of respect, I won't talk about it. So that video wouldn't have been out if you were on my podcast. Second of all, every single one of my guests, even ones who I radically disagree with, I'm always respectful to. So I don't have no idea what he's talking about. Maybe being friends with John Anthony is going to make me do something unethical on his podcast. And he was like, I told him I wasn't going to get too much into the drama, and I'm not. But like basically, he was like, he wanted to get me to take down the video. I had my lawyer respond saying like, no, we're not going to do it, and then he backed off. But he still won't come on the podcast.
It's really interesting too, because I would love to go on a podcast with someone who greatly disagrees with me. Now, I won't do it for a lot of people just because they don't have a platform. But like someone like you who's got actual people following you.
No, of course, that's understandable. If someone has like,
I would absolutely do it. It would be a really interesting conversation. If you disagree with someone, that's where you can actually learn about your flaws.
Yeah, and I mean, I've had RSD Alex come on my channel, so it's like his friends. So I've had a lot of his friends come on, so they can all say like, Alex is respectful. He's not gonna, whatever. I'm not gonna try to trap someone. At bet, at worst, we'd have like a respectful debate. But yeah, I think a lot of these guys are scared. Like
they're very weak-minded. When you have a shaky foundation, like not a sturdy foundation of who you are, I think it's easy. It's easy to feel like you're getting trapped in a conversation, even if someone's criticizing you.
Yeah, and if Todd is watching this, I challenge you, Todd. Like, come on the podcast. Like, literally, like, what are you scared of, man? Like, give me your fucking objections. I will objection handle your objections. Like, what are you scared of? I'm not gonna fucking try to trap you. I'm not gonna try to. We're gonna have a good discussion that our subscribers, because we have a lot of mutual, followers, are gonna find beneficial. At worst, we're gonna deliver value to our audience, and maybe we'll have like a friendly debate. But that's really what it's going to be. Like, I think he's worried that I'm going to do some crazy shit and trap him.
You could even agree to it behind the scenes. Like, here's what we'll talk about. I promise I won't trap you.
Yeah, dude, there's been a few people who requested that I don't do certain things, and I always honor that. Like, if someone, asks me not to talk about something, I won't. But yeah, I just think he's scared, which I think is super lame. Because at this point, you can't make the argument that there's no, like, I think I have, not to like try to brag, but I think I have enough followers to make it worth his while to come on the channel. So it's not that he has 1 million followers and he's so much above me. At this point, it just really comes down to, like, I think he's just scared, honestly. But that's just me. PWF is way too nice. Watch John Anthony if you want real criticism. Probably some elements of truth to that. I don't think I'm too nice.
He's kind of immune to the law, which changes things drastically.
True.
I would be a lot more harsh.
His leg count is too high for him to get a lawsuit. Once you hit 1,000, you cannot get sued.
No, my point is with him living in Brazil, it makes it very challenging for people to go after him. Yes. And it's so easy to get shut down, man. Like, it's just not worth the trouble if, like, doing that kind of energy, that kind of like really going after people. It's so easy for them to stop your channel. And look, I'll be straight with you. Once you make 24 grand in a month, like I did last month, you don't want the shit to stop. So you're not gonna do things that like could jeopardize that.
Yeah, and honestly, it comes down to me and John have different styles and approach. And people always get like, how are you friends with John? You like, he does this, you do that. Like, that's okay. Like, I'm friends with people who have different styles than me. Like, he's a really good buddy of mine. Like, at the end of the day, more than anything, he's a friend. Like, take all the whatever, all their collabs and stuff aside. He's a friend. And I can be like, for example, I'm more on like the liberal side, but I have friends who are like diehard Trump fans. So that's okay. I can be friends with people who disagree with me. So we just have different styles. Like, I personally like to keep my criticism very like matter of factly. Like, I just like to, okay, this is what it is. I try to leave like the speculation and like the name calling and all that out of it. But he's more like flashy and he's more like, I don't know, like verbose or whatever. So that's just like his style. Thoughts on James Marshall? His meditation course really good. Honestly, I don't know enough about him to make a educated criticism. So I really don't know. I do know that he charges $10,000 for like his like week-long boot camp or something like that, which to me is super outrageous. That being said, one of the guys who works for him in that company is named Liam McRae, who I actually really think is super legit and highly underrated. So I know for a fact, or my opinion, that one of the guys who works for that company is super legit. James Marshall, I kind of have mixed feelings on, but I just don't know enough about him to make an educated, whatever estimate. Let's take a few more. Warren Buffett has 60 billion and lives in the 300K. Yeah, but Warren Buffett is like an extreme example. He's just like kind of like a weirdo a little bit.
He's like a weird cliche that everyone points to.
Yeah. He's like a weird, like, he's just like a very simple man. But like most people that had 60 billion, they would not live in a $300,000 house.
Yeah.
Like, if I gave you 60 billion, wouldn't you live in a fucking baller pad?
I don't even know if he lives there too, by the way. Like, he has multiple houses.
Yeah. I think he's just like a quirky guy who like lives in his own world, and that's fine, whatever. If he's happy, he's happy. I have heard that he does weird things with his like relatives. So he like because there's a lot of people are going to inherit a lot of. Well, actually, he said he's going to give most of his money to charity, but he does help his family as long as they follow certain rules. And I know one chick, he's like whatever niece, whatever second degree niece. She was, you know, she's supposed to get, you know, whatever, like 200,000 or whatever. There was something like maybe $1 million. And she was in a video, like not a porno or anything. She was in a documentary that talks about the wealth gap. And that he didn't want her to be in, and because she did that, she was just spoke about, not about him personally. She was just in the documentary. He just inherited her. So I have heard that he does like weird. He's kind of controlling and does shit like that. But you know, again,
I feel like once you hit a certain point where money truly will never run out, like I think the flash of the expensive cars and the big houses almost become headaches. You're like, well, why would you want to live in a different house or get a flashy car? It becomes a headache. Because there's nothing left to prove. Like when you're Warren Buffett, like who do you have to prove? What do you have to prove?
Dude, honestly, if I had $60 billion, I would have a fucking Tesla. I would have a Range Rover. I would have a Lamborghini. I would have those cars. I would have like a fucking $10 million dope Playboy pad with an ocean view.
Of course, I would live in like Malibu, like right on the ocean.
Yeah, I think I would do all those things.
Oh, for sure. I'm different. I'm saying some people though, like once you have enough money, it's like they're not driven by money.
Yeah. I definitely want to get a fucking Range Rover and a Tesla because I love Teslas for some things and I love Range Rovers for other things. And I like Lamborghinis for other things. So those three cars, that would be like my fucking wet dream in terms of cars. Thoughts on How to Beast? Are you familiar with this guy, Spencer?
I've seen a couple videos of him. I'm a big fan of Max Tuning, who hangs with him.
Okay. I've been actually trying to get Max on the channel. Yeah, people have suggested that would be a good collab.
He's insanely busy, man. His businesses are like multiple seven figures.
Yeah. These are my honest thoughts on How to Beast. Generally speaking, I actually did a video on him, but generally speaking, I am a fan of How to Beast. I don't think he's a liar. I don't think he's a scammer. I do think he generally keeps it real. I think his cold approach is not that good, but that's never really been his big selling point. So if you're coming to him for cold approach, look elsewhere. Like I think his cold approach is average at best. And I do think he does a lot of really clickbaity shit, which is, I guess, part of the YouTube game, and I'm guilty of to some extent. I think that one unfortunate thing is I think he used to put out a lot of value videos, and now it's just become mostly just like fancy drone shots. So I think he's not really doing as much value in his videos anymore, which like he used to. But you know, maybe he's bored of it. Like maybe he's focused on other things. So
yeah, you pivot. That's natural, by the way, to pivot to new content, more lifestyle. It's easier to make.
Yeah, so I would not call How to Beast a scammer by any stretch. Playing with Fire, introduced Spencer John Anthony lifestyle. Spencer needs to watch those videos. That's how I met. Actually, Spencer was through John Anthony, so he's quite familiar with him.
Yeah, I had 2 videos with him, but they were taken down from the lawsuit.
Oh yeah. Oh, okay. On your channel or on his channel?
My channel.
Oh, I love this comment. Your nose looks broken. Every fucking video I make, yes, I broke my nose when I was 16. I don't know how it affects in any way my ability to give dating advice or anything at all, how that's relevant. But okay, yeah, I do have a broken nose.
I'd argue it's actually more impressive because your face is not symmetrical, which is one of the keys to attractiveness. So it's actually kind of a very clear. I don't know. I lost the word.
No, you know what's funny? I get like 2 sets of criticism. Some guys say like, oh, like you're an ugly motherfucker. How do you get laid? And other guys are like, dude, you're a perfect Chad. Of course you get laid. And like, I think I'm above average looking. I'm not a Chad by any stretch. Like if I had to rate myself, I would rate myself a 6.5, 7 on looks, you know, purely looks. So it's like, to me, it's like, no, I'm not a fucking perfect Chad. But I'm also like like clearly I'm like objectively like decent looking. So it's like, I don't know, like guys will just say the craziest shit. Like you're so fucking ugly or you're so fucking good looking. That's crazy. Let's take like a few more. Myron wouldn't even put up his profile after Fresh got roasted. Lol. Yeah.
I gotta watch that video.
Which was actually pretty smart of him, to be honest, because his profile, he has 1 picture on his Instagram profile. Like how's that going to get a good reception? At least that was the case for a while. So yeah, he was probably smart, but for not doing it. But obviously, by not doing it, it comes off like super shady in a sense. Okay. BWF should interview Natural Lifestyle's been trying. They just won't come on. Not responding. Okay, nice compliment. One of the best guests you've had on, Alex.
Oh, thank you. Big Poppy, David Ortiz. What's funny is I haven't been doing guest appearance. Not only do I not get really asked, but I've been really guarding my time lately. I've been with June taking off the way it did. Look, I've never made that kind of money before. It's like I've been really trying to focus on YouTube a lot more and spending my time. I'm trying to limit the amount of appearances I make.
Really, I've been the opposite. I've been trying to do as many collaborations as possible to try to grow my brand. What are your thoughts on simple pickup? You want to go first?
It's entertainment. I don't think anyone really looked at them as like the go-to for pickup advice. Exactly. Funny story. I have a friend. I met a good friend out here. His name's Lucky. Automotive Life is his Instagram and YouTube. He was at Graham Stephan's house for the July 4th, and Kong was there with simple pickup. So my friend hung out with Kong the other day.
Okay.
Yeah, they were entertainment. I actually saw them in Vegas one time.
What was his impression of Kong?
He didn't say anything other than he met him. He didn't know who he was. So it wasn't like, oh, I met Kong. It was like some guy who was like they did pickup videos back in the day, and now he's doing something. I'm like, oh, it must have been simple pickup. He's like, oh yeah, that was them. It was Kong.
Yeah. I mean, I actually think Kong would be a fun guy to hang out with. And I do agree with that. They're mainly entertainment. I got to look at their financials. Take a guess at their peak, how much money they were making a month.
Okay, good. So what years are we looking? 2015-ish?
2015, yeah.
Okay. If I had a guess, I would think per month anywhere from 250 to 350,000 in gross revenue.
They're making $500,000 a month.
Wow.
$500,000 a month, between 500 and 600,000.
Yeah, and that was from Project Go?
That was primarily from Project Go. It was like 20, 30,000 from YouTube ads, and they had another course or something like that they were making, but it was mostly from Project Go.
Wow.
So they were making bank. Now, I think what's kind of telling about simple pickup is, and again, some of this is secondhand, is I heard that the reason they split up is because Kong banged Jesse's girlfriend.
I think they're still dating.
Kong or Jesse?
Kong and that girl.
Right. Okay, but initially that was Jesse's girlfriend, from what I heard.
Yeah, I saw the video. Yeah, there was like video on it.
Which to me is crazy because you have you have a multi-million-dollar business. I don't care if you're dating a perfect 10, which that girl is not. I would not jeopardize that for any amount of girls, like multi-million-dollar business. I would not.
That's partially why Jesse went off and did his little system, his dating system. Yeah. Because he broke up. He left the business.
Yeah. To me that's like kind of telling, but all right, let's take like one or two more. You're one of the best dating advice channels on YouTube. Thank you for your work. Also, are you losing your hair? A little bit. I'm planning on doing something about that. I'm going to do another round of probably PRP. And if that doesn't work, I'm going to do, I think, a hair transplant.
By the way, side note, when speaking about gurus and when people ask us about these gurus, I think there's a natural inclination to look at people on YouTube and with a little social media profile as being bigger than they are. I think something that maybe I'm going to try and convey on my channel is that we're all human too. Like,
oh yeah,
some of us might pump ourselves out. Hey, we had a little success with women, or with me, I had a little success in real estate and got a little rental portfolio. But at the end of the day, man, I'm still just a dude with a few extra followers than other people. Like, I'm not some expert in everything. I'm not, some things I might not be as smart as I may appear on my channel. And so a lot of these guys, at the end of the day, they're still pretty normal. Right, they might be slightly better.
No, I know exactly what you mean. There's just like some people think like when they meet me, like fans, they think that like yo, but you're probably just like having a threesome way before this. No, dude, I was making a YouTube video. I don't have I have a good amount of sex, but I don't have nearly as much sex as some guys think. And even girls to some extent, because every girl knows about my channel. So one of my exes, she was like, "You didn't pick up my call because you were probably fucking some bitch." No, I was taking a shit. We're not as cool. I don't know. I'm super upfront and I don't know. I feel like a lot of people, it's not as cool. Like I would consider I'm a guy who has a really good work ethic, who is quite solid with girls, and who is pretty charismatic on camera. And that's pretty much it.
Yeah. A lot of these guys, especially the entertainment guys, like Simple Pickup, they were fun. They were cool. They made cool videos, but I don't think they ever really positioned themselves as like super dating gurus. You're going to bang a bunch of girls after following their stuff. And that's what they are. And they're nothing more. And that's okay.
Yeah. Let me actually take this question because it's one that's been asked a few times. He said Todd is scared to come on the podcast at all, but his boy John will got changed by Avery and beached out. Mr. 1300 Laces is scared. Okay. First of all, First of all, those two things are not mutually exclusive. Todd could be scared to come on, and John could be also like, like I don't understand why this guy thinks they're mutually exclusive. Like, oh, if like if John quote unquote bitched out, then that means that Todd can't be scared. So these are two separate things completely. So we have to take them as separate issues. So Todd, I do think, is legitimately scared based on the facts I mentioned. In terms of the John Mulhevel thing, Milva Hill and Avery and bitched out. So as far as I understood that situation, I'm not like a fucking representative for John. He's just a buddy of mine. That's it. Like, I'm not his like lawyer. I'm not his like fucking PR spokesperson. As far as I understand, the reason that he didn't take up Avery on that challenge is because John lives in motherfucking Brazil, where none of the girls speak English. So that would be really hard for him to do because no one would understand it because he'd have to speak to them in Portuguese. So I think that if he was living in America, it would be a different story. So I think that was the main reason why he didn't take up Avery on that challenge. I think the second reason why, and again, I'm friends with both of them. I like Avery a lot. I'll just leave it at that because I don't want to disparage anyone. I like Avery a lot. I like John a lot. So I'm kind of in a neutral spot here. But I think as far as I understand, that's the reason why John didn't take him up on that challenge. And that has nothing to do with Todd at all.
Do keep in mind, you do have to remember that we're human too, in the sense that we've got our own schedules. I'm not speaking about this specifically, but I watched a video the other day where some guy called me out that I knew nothing about Dogecoin or whatever. And he's like, I've asked Spencer to come debate me and he never responds. That dude has never asked me to come on his show, nor is it worth my time. So like, not only am I not scared, it's not worth my time. And also he's never even asked. So, keep in mind that I don't know John that well. I don't know this Avery fella. But you never know. Like someone might just go, it's not worth my time. And
yeah, that's funny.
All.
They're both good guys. I would like to see them be friends. Like I would rather, like, they're both like buddies of mine. Like John, I know a lot better, but like, I think that like they probably would be friends in different circumstances, which is kind of what makes the whole thing so amusing. But it is what it is. I think we covered a shitload of questions. We could do more about individual people, but we've kind of beat this horse to death. Let's end it off on like what advice? All right, Spencer, what advice would you give to someone who's maybe new to this whole space and they're like, what should they? What should be their thought process for deciding who to be their coach, what product to buy?
Funny enough, I never give general advice, so I don't ever give advice. I don't find it to be valuable, other than just go out and read a bunch of books and try a bunch of shit, see what works. If you follow Alex and he helps you out, keep following him. If you follow Guru ABC and he doesn't help you, then move on to someone else. That's all. Just because, look, man, everyone's got different coaching style. Just because you vibe with one person versus the other doesn't make the other person a fake guru or anything.
My advice is think for yourself and be open-minded. Yeah. Even with my videos, like think for yourself. Does what Alex say make sense? Yeah. Don't just take my word for it. Probably should.
At the end of the day, you have to apply though. Whatever you want to do in life, you have to apply it. Yep. If you want to start flipping houses, you got to just go take one on. If you want to get better with women, you have to start asking some girls out.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Spencer. So if they want to support your work, where should they go?
Spencer Cornelia is my channel. Check out the YouTube. I'm sure you're going to watch a couple of videos. Some of my recent ones are pretty clickbaity. Like they're pretty catchy.
Yeah, we're gonna put your channel in the description. Do you have like are you big on any other social media?
No, I got Instagram, but I don't take it seriously. I only do it because if I am able to get a blue check mark one day, then I'll use it for dating. But I don't know. I don't care for the app too much. I love YouTube though. I love YouTube.
Cool. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. So the next collaboration we have in the works is probably going to be with this. We got Marnie, the Wing Girl, coming on at some point. We finally got in touch with her, which I'm excited about. Took a while, but we made it happen, and I'm excited for that. And we got an anti-feminist girl coming on, which is going to be awesome. So we got some interesting stuff in the works, guys. So stay tuned and support Spencer. We'll link the GoFundMe in the description or something like that. I got to get on that.
That's super nice of you.
Yeah, dude. Happy to help. All right, man. Thank you. I appreciate it. And thank you guys for tuning in.